So I guess we'll get started. We hardly need an introduction. This is Tie-Dye Jeff, and Tie-Dye Jeff has had his own ice cream parlors and has been extremely successful. Christy Brown is our Vice President, Sales and Marketing, and Christy has her own ice cream cookbook over there, which is a history of the company and 117 flavors?
111.
111 flavors that all based on our different size machines, and you could run an entire ice cream parlor out of that book. I'd like to say that I taught Christy how to make ice cream, and now she teaches me. She makes far better ice cream than I do. And as I'm always pointing out, because it still bothers me, she has a machine at home, and Emery Thompson at home, and I don't. But that's why she comes up with such great ice cream.
I do, and it's the CB200 right back there. It's fun.
The reason she comes up with so many is because she has a machine in her house.
That's what we just said.
Oh.
I wind up with a lot more friends than I'd like, but you know.
Yeah, that's the other problem about making your ice cream is everybody tells you, "Oh, we love your ice cream. It's absolutely fantastic."
Right.
You know, because
Yeah.
it's free. And then the second time it's, boy, your vanilla is really good, Steve, but you might add a little more vanilla. And then our neighbor is in here today, and she will be getting to the point in another couple of months. It's going to be, for God's sake, Steve, can't you make anything other than vanilla? So then the truth comes out. So you can rely on your friends after they've had about 3 months of ice cream. Then they'll start telling you the truth of if it's good or not. We made for some people on Monday Oreo cookie ice cream, which is, it's flawless. You can't go wrong. But I bought 3 bags of Oreo cookie and 1 bag of Oreo birthday cookie.
Birthday cake.
Birthday cake. And Paula took 1 taste of it and she said, "This is disgusting.
Yeah.
Don't give it to our neighbor." I said, "Oh, they'll eat anything." She says, "No, don't give it to her." So things can go wrong.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
Well, Jeff, you're going to start. What are you
You
making?
missed your whole shtick of the whole gradient, turning it sideways.
We'll get there. We have others to make. Okay?
Your machines are on and ready to go.
Okay.
I'm going to go get some coffee, but I'll be back.
I'll wait till you leave.
I want to hear what lies you're telling about me.
All right, so a little story about the bladders. That's how our ice cream mix comes. Whatever state you live in, there are dairies that sell this mix. 50 states, right? Right. Kids and their phones, right? Anyway, it comes in bladders. We call it ice cream mix, but it's really ice cream mix. And it comes in, can they hear me? Getting no reaction here. And it comes in bladders. We don't have the bladders today because I'll tell you later when we're not on the air. But it comes in 10-quart bladders from all of them. Some dairies produce it with vanilla that they use. Some dairies make a white mix and a chocolate mix. And some are better than others. In Florida, there are 2 companies that make the mix. One is down south and one is on the West Coast. And one is, in my opinion, significantly better than the other. So you'll just have to see. Now, sometimes you won't have a choice, but you can always doctor your mix a little if you need to. Little sugar, little vanilla, whatever you feel you want in your mix, but normally it'll be fine because the rest of it comes from your recipes. So, and today, the first flavor, we're making English toffee. And I at home, I took these springform pans and I took graham crackers and a little butter, mixed it up, and pressed it into the bottom of these springform pans because I thought, how cool to have English toffee ice cream cake. Now, if you have a store, you can, of course, sell them. This would probably sell for $24, $5, something like that. This would sell for $12, $13, and you're going to make good money on both of them. So, unfortunately, After we fill these, we won't be able to serve them that way because they'll still not have solidified. So we'll put them in the freezer, and perhaps by the time we leave, they'll be ready and we can slice it up. But if not, you get the idea. He's back. Don't say anything. All right, so the first flavor, you know me, I'm a simplicity guy. And the first flavor has 2 ingredients, and that's it. Now, I'm a little bit hypocritical today because the second flavor is the most complicated flavor I've ever made, but it's so good that I let that go. Okay? So the first one is English toffee.
Sure.
Okay, we'll open the machine.
Yes.
What? Yes.
Yes.
We'll make sure that the gate is closed, and we'll pour in the mix. What are you eating?
An orange.
Oh, okay. All right, so in it goes. Tell them the rule, Christy.
The gate closed?
No, the higher.
Oh. So the way Jeff is pouring it, you can see how he's holding the container up high. Doing so creates a thin pour, so that way it can go into the spout without making any messes. If you go to take the container and touch it to the throat of the machine, it's going to have to start out with pretty wide spout, and it's going to just spill all over both sides of the machine. Ta-da!
That's a 25-cent tip. And there'll be a jar, probably over there. Hello. Where you can put the money for these tips that you'll get today. They think I'm serious. All right, so let's add another little bit of this. Oh, and what Christy was talking about before, you see how these tubs have gradients on them, markings for quarts and liters. And a lot of people put them like this because it's natural. And then when you pour, you've got to, get down like that and make sure you're there. But if you just turn it, you can still see the markings, and then you can pour. That's a 50-cent tip. All right, that's good enough. So we'll put this in here a little more. And vanilla. I brought my own vanilla.
Okay.
So I don't have to listen to you bellyache about me wasting your vanilla. Because I use 1 ounce per quart of mix, which nobody ever did before I started this, right?
Right.
But it's smart. I shouldn't say smart. It's good because the vanilla these days is so good and so expensive. Except this. This is my vanilla of choice. It's Dancy vanilla, and you can get it on eBay. The people who sell it, there's many of them who sell it, and it comes from South Texas by the border because it's Mexican vanilla. I like it a lot. So,
I like it.
You do? Excellent. He doesn't. Okay, measuring cup.
Second shelf.
See, I'm actually measuring this time.
I'm shocked.
Well, it's for you. Okay, ounces. Well, this isn't very much. All right, we'll pour this in. And then we have one ingredient left, which is the, what is it? The dulce de leche. I like that. Dulce de leche. Dulce de leche. Which means sweet of milk.
Sweet milk.
Sweet milk. And remember how we talked about how it's made. It's sweetened condensed milk simmered. And if you simmer it on a low heat for a long time, that sweetened condensed milk turns into this. That's how I used to do it. Then Nestle got wind of what I was doing, and they decided to put it in cans.
You get the royalties?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I got. Okay, let's see, that should do it.
Right here.
Oh, you're the best. Okay, the machines have two controls on the top. One of them is here, and it has a little screen on it. And with this screen, after you press this, make ice cream, get help. We're beyond that. So make ice cream. Now it lists all the ice creams you can make, which the machine will adjust for by changing the speed of the motor. So you can go homemade ice cream, custard, gelato, and on. Italian ices, you can keep going. What we're going to do with ice cream is put it on full speed ahead, which is 234 revolutions per minute. Fast. And the other control is the refrigeration. So when we hit this, the cylinder will spin. See the cylinder by Christy over there next to those kits? That's what's inside the machine. And it doesn't move, but around it, see the tubes around it, the coils? That's the refrigeration. So what happens, because you didn't see it open, is the coils around it, you start it up, and nothing happens but the blades. Where are the blades? There's those things. They spin around. How fast?
234.
234 per minute. And nothing's happening. You can wait 6 months and you won't have ice cream until you hit this. And this is the refrigeration. That turns the juice into those coils, and it cools that cylinder that's sitting there. Really cold. And between the coldness of the steel and the spinning of the blades, the ice cream mixture inside starts to thicken. And because the blades are flush, spring-loaded, flush against the walls, it keeps scraping the stuff off and bringing it to the middle. Fast, very fast. That's why a regular ice cream will take 8-9 minutes, right?
Yep.
And that's amazing. And you'll appreciate that when you have your store and you have to make 80 gallons before you can go home and have lunch. Okay, so first we'll start it up. Get help or make ice cream? Let's make ice cream. And we are on homemade, right? Homemade. And now we start. And it says right there, 234. Counterclockwise, 234. So now the vanilla and the ice cream mix we put in are getting to know each other. Nothing else is happening. And we're going to add this, dulce de leche. Dulce de leche. And let's see.
That's just the handle.
Oh boy, look at that. I can't hear the
How
machine.
many quarts of mix did you put in?
Yeah, I knew you were sitting there for a reason. I put in 8 quarts of mix. Why is it making noise?
The handle is just going back.
Ah, it's the handle. And you know the famous line from Bob Dylan, the pumps don't work because the vandals took the handles. They don't get that.
This is the 24.
So it's going to make upwards of 24 quarts of ice cream. You don't.
You know,
put
I should have
24
put this
quarts
with
in
the drill bit.
because you need
Yeah.
air. Otherwise, it
forgot.
wouldn't be ice cream.
That's gonna be
It would
fun.
just be lard.
For the next flavor. So the mix is in a very liquidy state at this point, so that's why you see the vibration of it going. Once the refrigeration turns on and it starts to get thicker, it won't have that much shake to it.
And it's on wheels.
Yes. But Jeff always likes to, what I say, make love with the machine for 30 minutes before we start it. like this.
See, this was a good invention. No moving parts, works great. Unlike the can opener.
Actually, I have some of those knives. Whoever said that.
It's the best can opener in the world.
Is it?
You can hold a big can in the air and hold on to it. Wow. Very comfortable in your hand. We don't take it to work.
You ever taste this by itself like that? Unbelievable.
So you don't have to actually scoop it out of the can and put it in like this, and it does make a little bit of a sticky mess. Jeff, if you've ever watched any of his other videos, you'll see like a drill bit he uses with an actual drill. That's a good method. You could also scoop it into a bowl. Don't microwave the can, but you can microwave it in the bowl and just stir it in increments and get a little bit more on the thinner side so it can pour into the machine a lot easier.
That's another thing. Why haven't they perfected the fact that you can put a can in a microwave oven? Come on, this is the 2000s.
Because it's microwaves, that's why.
I don't know, we used to say when we were, they can put a man on the moon, but they can't put a tin can in a microwave oven. All right. Ooh.
I feel like Vanna White.
Jeff, you get to clean the machine after this one.
We have to make a batch of ice cream in this at the end.
Gee.
And do I care? Okay, that's all that stuff in there. Waste not, want not.
Boys are messy.
Yes. Men are messy too. Okay, now that's it. Now what I always do before I turn on the refrigeration is, what do you think? Anybody? I taste it. Ooh, nice spoons this time. Pulled out all the stops, huh?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, now we're ready. So we'll put the refrigeration on and you'll hear the compressor kick in. And then you know you're good. Now at this point, as soon as you put that compressor on, you don't leave the room when you're making ice cream. You don't go call your friend in the other room. You don't go check the mail. You don't do anything outside of the room. You stay here. Because if you don't, something will screw up. And you want to watch it when it screws up, so stay in the room. Is this working? I'm not kidding you.
You're working.
Okay, any questions about this flavor? Now, I did change the name of this flavor because English toffee didn't work so well. I knew we had a great flavor, but the name didn't really click with the customers. English toffee didn't work. So I had to come up with another name for it. And I did, and it became ridiculously popular. So much so that we couldn't stop making it. We had to always have it. What I did was I added Heath bar pieces to it. I threw them in there, and I called it Caramel Crunch. And as soon as I put it on the board, Caramel Crunch, big seller. And still today, it's a top 5 seller. Top 5 seller. And all I did was add Heath bar pieces. Just throw them in the machine. Piece of cake. You want to know how much Heath bar pieces, right?
Yes, I was about to ask
I'll tell you how many Heath bar pieces. In a full batch, in the 24 quart, 3 pounds.
And
Now-
that's like those little eat bits there, or?
Well, they come in bags, are already broken up.
Like that? Oh, yeah.
Like what?
Like the men.
Oh, absolutely. Can I have this?
No, we're running it as a flavor.
Oh, you have any more?
No.
3 pounds?
3 pounds in a full batch, so a half batch is 1.5, you get the point.
Now, from a practical standpoint, when you're making ice cream, we're going to do all sorts of different flavors, so we're jumping around. But normally, if Jeff was going to make ice cream for the next 4 or 5 hours, or Christy was, you would plan your production starting with light flavors and working down so that you don't have to clean out the machine. We're going to have to do, normally, if we want to go on to a strawberry or a Bordeaux cherry, we'd have to do a full clean out. So you would start with vanilla as your base flavor, and then you would do something called variegated ice creams. You want to praise Jesus?
I'm going to disagree when you're done.
Okay, you can relax for 5 minutes.
Okay.
You would then go on to your what we call variegated flavors. Variegated is just a fancy name for adding a butterscotch swirl to an ice cream. So the machine would be vanilla, and then we're pouring in, we open the gate part way, and we're pouring in butterscotch into the vanilla ice cream. We could also make another batch of vanilla and pour in chocolate. We could do peanut butter that we're adding in, because the machine itself is vanilla ice cream, and everything else at that point is added outside. Then we would go on to our fruit flavors. You could do strawberry, which is going to be, of course, a pale pink, because the machine was just vanilla. Now we're putting real strawberries in the machine. Nobody else can do that. And we're going to run strawberry ice cream, and then something that's similar to strawberry would be a red raspberry. It's a little darker, so any little bit that's left in the machine of the strawberry will then be covered over by the red raspberry. So then we could do Bordeaux cherry after that, which is even darker. So we have made, say, and you're not going to make just one batch of this. It's not practical. You're here to build an inventory over the next, say, 3 or 4 hours. So we might do 3 or 4 batches of this. So we're going to make 3, 4, 5 batches of vanilla, one of the largest selling ice creams in most ice cream parlors. And then we're going to do our butterscotch swirls. Then we're going to do the fruit flavors working down. So we could go 3, 4 hours and never have to rinse the machine. So that's the way you really make ice cream. We're not doing it that way today, but in the real world, you look at the flavors you have to do and you work your way down. Yes?
How long does it take to rinse and clean the machine?
It depends on what you're doing to rinse the machine. If I'm just going from, say, strawberry to, I don't know, back to vanilla, I'd probably do 2 rinses. So I'd pour some water into the machine. The amount is not critical. I'd pour some water in, turn on the dasher, no refrigeration. Let it slosh around for 30 seconds, shut it off, drain it out, do it a second time. If I was doing a nut ice cream, if you said, okay, you just made maple walnut ice cream, I don't want to risk a nut getting into any other flavor because I'm worried about contamination and a great increase in people with nut allergies. So I would most likely do 2 or 3 rinses, and then to play safe on a nut, which I would do at the end of the day, I would probably open it up and check the barrel and then re-sanitize. So the easiest way to avoid all that is make your nut ice creams at the very end of the day, the last stuff that you're going to do, and make them together because you don't want to worry about nut allergies. But otherwise, we call it homemade ice cream. So if a mint chip gets into the butter pecan, no one's going to really complain. They're going to say, oh, it's homemade ice cream. You know, that's what happens. Yes?
I was going to ask you about this. Do you get any flavor intrusions when you go from one flavor to another?
I'm sorry, do you get, yeah, we call it overlap. And yes, you'll get a little bit, but you're only leaving less than a pint to a half pint in the machine. It's that efficient. So again, if I get a little strawberry into the red raspberry, no one's going to ever notice. if I get strawberry into, say, a chocolate, you just say, well, it still goes together, but you try not to do it. The exception, because I'm from the Bronx, is rum raisin. And it's because I'm from the Bronx. I would take that machine apart, I would get in there, I'd bring in the Pope and re-bless it, because if I get so much as a raisin in any other flavor, I'm from the Bronx. We know it's a cockroach. We just know it. It's happened. So we don't want that to happen. So you don't want to give an ice cream that goes squish that shouldn't go squish. When you're eating rum raisin, you expect something to go squish. But it's very fast and simple. But the idea is you don't go from chocolate to vanilla because you're going to have to do more rinsing. Go vanilla to chocolate. Now you can tell what's wrong.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, to touch on that of ice cream being left in the machine and stuff on that also depends on how thick or thin you pull your product. So some pull it thicker than others, some pull it thinner. I prefer to pull mine a little on the thinner side versus some other people I know and colleagues like to pull it thicker. 2 reasons. One, when you pull it a little bit thinner, you have a more chance of getting the cylinder clean and it's not going to get so cold and stiff and start sticking to the blades and the springs. And also in your container, it'll fill up your container a lot more evenly versus super thick and you're standing there and you're trying to pack your ice cream down.
And does thicker or thinner make any difference to the consistency?
I'm not saying pull it as soup, but you'll see Jeff. Jeff pulls it about the same consistency I do. For the classes, we try to pull it a little bit more firmer, just so we're going to put it in a cup. Yes.
If it's getting thick and you turn the compressor off and just let it.
So
Yeah, watch. You'll see. We're going to do all that now.
Okay.
Watch, it's starting. I can hear it changing.
So we do what we call a cutoff check, which is what you're seeing Jeff do. He's opening and closing it to cut off the ice cream. If it cuts and it comes out kind of clean like so, it's kind of running a little bit. I would let it go for probably another minute. That's Jeff's preference though, it's his ice cream. But that's what you can tell and judge. If it's cut it off and it's just pouring out, don't even attempt it.
Whether you're pulling ice cream at make up
pretty
numbers,
good.
22 degrees or 20 degrees or 19, isn't going to make any difference in the consistency whatsoever. If anybody tells you different, it's not true, because it's ice cream when we pull it out, and then it's going into a specialty freezer to turn it rock hard. So,
Not only that too, but
Okay,
the temperatures.
just 1 second. Listen to the compressor going off, because that's what you want to hear. We're going to shut it off now. Now it's still spinning and it's still cold in there, but it's not progressing the thickness of the ice cream.
if you left it on, you're going to have trouble getting the ice cream out, and you could have ultimately just shut it down.
So back on that temperature, so if people say, oh, the ice cream comes out best at 18 degrees, that can vary. So your vanilla that you put in, that can alter your temp time because of the alcohol in it. Sugars, cookies, juices, candies, that always alters your temp time. So when someone says, oh, this is the ideal temperature, well, that's because no other batch freezer can do what we can, where you could put actual real ingredients versus flavoring paste, gels, purees.
These blends from the dairy, which is milk, cream, sugar, skim milk, that's what makes up ice cream. We call it a terrible term. We call it mix, M-I-X. We ought to call it a blend, because that's all it is it's whole milk, heavy cream, cane sugar, and skim milk powder. You go, what's the skim milk for? Well, skim milk is a great product. It's heavy cream with all the fat removed. So we call it, too technical, milk solids, not fat. But basically, skim milk, if you needed to get protein into your body, skim milk's a great way to do it, because it's got all the protein and all the good stuff, but without all the heavy fat of heavy cream. So we're actually improving the ice cream by putting in skim milk powder. And we don't put it in. The dairy does it. The cow is milked this afternoon at 4 o'clock. It goes to the dairy, and then it's separated and then repasteurized and blended and delivered to you fresh the next morning, ready to go. It's great stuff.
So I have a question about, you said that when it comes, it doesn't really matter the consistency
when it comes out of the machine, because it's gonna be the same. So, like in our ice cream shop right now, we sell someone else's ice cream. When it's delivered, sometimes it's a little soft, and when we go to scoop it later, we wanna break our wrists off.
You're
Is that,
go ahead.
I think you're,
Does that happen here?
yeah, so if it comes out real soft and then you freeze it, is it harder?
No, it's not harder because of that. You're having trouble because your serving cabinet is too cold.
Most likely.
Your serving cabinet needs to be approximately 6 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's colder than that, you'll never scoop it. And if ice cream is too cold, it has no taste.
Try to keep it about 10.
I would check it with a separate thermostat. And another thing to keep in mind about, we have a serving cabinet back there, but let's use a desk over here for a second, this table. This table could be our serving cabinet. This table is wrapped in Freon lines, just like our machines. Wrapped in Freon lines all the way around, and that's the source of cold. So I don't want to move the camera too much. So here's my dipping cabinet right here. It's all wrapped. If I go into an ice cream parlor and I see the server working with one product nicely and having trouble with the other one, they don't know this trick. Since that's wrapped all the way around in Freon lines, the four corners of the desk, if we want to call it that, or the serving cabinet, the four corners are colder than the center of the cabinet. The overall temperature is 6 degrees, but over here is probably about 3 degrees, and over here is 6 degrees. So if you know the fact that the higher the sugar content, the softer it scoops, you would put your vanilla, which is a low sugar content, put it in the center where I'm standing, and put the salted caramel in the corner where it needs more refrigeration to scoop, and now everything will scoop the same. So you can't just go by a thermostat, you have to go by how it scoops. If you're having trouble scooping it, it's too cold. And your employees are going to complain because their wrists hurt. Never get in a fight with a person who scoops ice cream because they've got a fist like this. But you want to have it all scooping evenly, and it's all about the temperature. And make sure you move it the night before. It takes at least that long to bring the temperature up from your hardening cabinet or your chest freezer to get it up to scooping temperature.
So the more sugar,
The softer it is. Italian ice, which is one of my favorite subjects, and we'll be making one later calling it fresh fruit sorbet. Italian ice is scooped not at 6 degrees Fahrenheit, it's scooped at 16 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees warmer. And we'll show you how to do that. You ever go into an ice cream parlor and you see Italian ice and ice cream in the same cabinet? Run, get out of there. Because that means they have put so many chemicals into the Italian ice to make it scoop the same temperature as ice cream.
You're right. Those Heath crunches would have been good in there. Too bad they're not yours.
What are you doing? I was willing to pay you for them.
Except that she needs it.
It's okay.
Other questions? Anybody?
Oh, I did have chocolate chips in the freezer.
No. This ice cream is decadent.
Steve, I have a question.
Kendall?
Yes.
So if you have an ice cream that's really hard that you made, when you to soften it, would you recommend tempering it the morning of before opening the store?
Absolutely.
Rock hard, just tempering it on the
Absolutely. The girls used to come in. We opened at 6 o'clock in the evening, and the girls would get there at 5 to take the chairs down and get everything ready. And as soon as they came in, they would go to the hardest flavors and put them in these on the counter, stack them up, maybe 15, 18, 20 of them. And then they would go about getting the store ready, taking the chairs down, putting the signs on, all that stuff, and then put them back in the freezer. Now if your store is doing business, the very fact that opening and closing the freezers will temper them throughout the day. But in the beginning, yes. I mean, if somebody comes in first thing and orders Frankenstein or a hard chocolate, they can't scoop it. It just can't be done.
What I would do is the night before, I've got 2 chest freezers, let's say. This one's at 10 below, where I harden my ice cream, or I used a Emery Thompson hardener. The other is almost at scooping temperature. So the night before, the business is very weather dependent. You say, okay, tomorrow is Saturday, it's going to be a beautiful sunny weekend, we're going to go through 3 or 4 tubs of ice cream. Let's take 4 tubs out of the hardener. We'll put 2 into the serving cabinet tonight before we close, and they are going to warm up in the serving cabinet. One up here that you see and one down below. They're going to warm up to 6 degrees Fahrenheit tempering. But we know by 3 in the afternoon we will have gone through those 2 tubs. So we're going to take 2 tubs more out of there and put them into a chest freezer that is at somewhere between 0 and +6. So they are tempering up. And so tub 1, tub 2, you're scooping from. You finish tub 1, you bring up tub 2. You take tub 3 from your tempering freezer and put it down below for 8 o'clock tonight. So you're always rotating in ice cream ready to go. I tell customers, let's say this is a quart, but let's say it's a pint of ice cream. You know why men like to scoop ice cream? Men who don't do anything in the kitchen are more than happy to go get the ice cream when you have guests over. It's because if you leave this out on the counter and it's in this size container or smaller, you take that out before, you know it's hard. You can't scoop it. It's Haagen-Dazs. So you take it out, say at 7 o'clock, and you're having dinner at 7:15, and by 8 o'clock you're going to be serving that pint of ice cream. Us men like to scoop it because we know sitting there on the counter, it's all melting on the outside. And the center is warming up because the outside is exposed to temperature. So it's 1 scoop for the guests, 1 scoop for me, another scoop for the guests, another for me, because it's melting. So the way you avoid that is you take that container when you sit down to dinner, the Haagen-Dazs, and you move it to your refrigerator. You take it out of the freezer, put it up in the refrigerator. So for 45 minutes, it is tempering up evenly. It's not melting on the outsides. It's all coming up together. So it's going to be nice and smooth and creamy and ready to go. So tempering the product is really important. I'm sorry, that's my bookie.
Where was he at? No, I'm just kidding. So we are going to go ahead and start with chocolate coffee crunch gelato. This is the formula if you want to pass it down. Oops, sorry. All right. I don't think I have a 287 open. Let's see. I do. So I think I should have enough. It says how many ounces? I think 5 ounces, 8 ounces
Coffee,
for the Forbes powder.
8 ounces.
Okay. We will need to open another one.
Is there darker chocolate?
This is their sweetened vanilla. I think I have one we could pass. We do. So here's the chocolate powder if you guys want to pass it around. In
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say, they sent me some, but I don't remember if I got the sweetener. I know the dark doesn't have sweetener.
This one has vanilla in it. So in your packet, you'll see the Forbes chocolate powder sheet in there, and then also you'll see Cherish's name and contact, so you can reach out to her. Okay. It's like the bag of flour. We'll just tuck that like that.
What's the approximate shelf life of the mix?
The
like milk?
dairy mix,
The dairy mix?
Frozen, it'll last forever.
and then the bag itself or the box will have an expiration date on it that tells you, because
Oh,
it gets
you can
delivered.
freeze it when you get it.
Absolutely. So it comes fresh and it has an expiration days. I think it's for quite a while, like a couple of weeks or so, right? Fresh?
It's not, oh yeah.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. And then you can freeze it and it freezes amazingly and it just thaws beautifully. So there's no issues with that. So you can buy in bulk. So we are going to do 3.5 quarts of mix.
And by the way, you will be buying it in bulk because the dairies don't care about the ice cream stores. So if there's a problem either in deliveries or production or whatever, you've got them. And if you just get a chest freezer, a small, they're actually $99 at Home Depot. Smaller chest freezer, not these big ones, smaller one, and just allocate it for your mix, then you're fine. You always have it.
Okay. What happened to my whisk? We used to have a whisk in here.
Yeah, you like it? It's good.
Uh-oh.
It's good. It's a very classy flavor.
Anybody see a whisk?
Oh, not getting through there.
Okay, I will use the spatula.
Oh, it's all right. I got a clear way here. Nice hand.
Question to ask you, Mr. Jeff.
Huh?
I got a question to ask you. When you was making yours at the machine, you was making it as a 28?
You're not from Boston, are you?
No. No, sir.
Go ahead.
You only made 8 quarts of your mix.
Right.
So 8 quarts.
You want to know why?
8 quarts made 20-something quarts of ice cream?
20 quarts? No. I think we came out with 1, 2, 3 gallons, maybe 4
So
gallons,
that would be 12 quarts.
maybe 4
That
gallons.
is 16.
You guys had 1. I got 1 in there. There's 2. The cakes and the others 3.5, 4. 4. Out of a full batch with the 24 quart, you'll get 6 to 7 gallons. Got any other questions?
So when you work with any type of powders, you don't have to thoroughly mix it. That's what the machine will do. It'll do a great job of doing it for you. So we're just getting it wet, just enough to kind of get it all moist and whatnot so the machine can do the rest of the work.
You dump the powder straight into the machine, or you recommend mixing it first?
You can. One, it makes a little bit of a mess. It's a powder. Powder goes poof, just like you saw. And then you don't want to risk any type of big clumps that might get dumped into there, so it's just easier if you just kind of at least get it mixed beforehand. So always check your gate is closed. We're going to open, and we're going to hold high for a long pour.
Ooh.
She is good at that.
You learn to get really good at it over time.
What size machine is that one?
This is a 6 quart. It does 1.5 gallons per batch. All right, so we still have to add coffee, and what else does it say? The Heath pieces, right?
Yes, and vanilla.
And
My
vanilla.
Heath pieces. My
No.
Heath bar pieces.
So with this, there's my scissors, here we are. I don't like to turn the machine on, just let it sit and hang out for too long. So we're gonna get everything ready to go. Now the thing with coffee, you saw that I measured the chocolate by weight and the coffee is by volume. This coffee is freeze dried. So when you do try to measure it by weight, you're gonna probably have to have 25 of these because it is just so, there's nothing to it. So it says 5 ounces, right? So we're gonna go by volume.
How do you know when to go by weight, when to go by volume?
Question, and I can't answer that. I don't know. When it's a liquid or dry powders, I always do it by, well, if it's a liquid, I go by volume. If it's a powders, I always go by weight. Sugars, I go by weight. Anything else that's like a syrup, a base, or anything granulated like that, I kind of like to do by volume. Some people do sugar by cups as well. You can do that too, but if you weigh out 2 pounds of sugar and then you just want to see how many cups that makes, you can do that as well too. Okay, so we're going to do the make ice cream. Now we're making gelato. So when Jeff was running his, he was doing it on homemade, which is 234 RPMs. Gelato I set at 140, I believe. Yes, 140. So that means it's going at 140 revolutions per minute. The slower the machine runs, the more thick and dense your ice cream or product will be. The faster it runs, the more air it's putting into your product. So by law, you cannot make anything more than 100% overrun. You can't make 120, you can't make 150. So 100% is whatever you put in, you're gonna get it double back out. Because you can add inclusions, you're going to get a little bit more than double when you extract your product. Yes.
Sorry, you said by law you can't what?
You can't run more than 100% overrun. I don't know why, but that's just the law. You can't double more than what you're making. You could. Nobody's going to measure your overrun, come in for ice cream or anything like that, but it's just, let's just not do it. It's not going to make for a good creamy ice cream anyways. So we are going to hit start. We're going to dump in our coffee, kind of like that, spitting back out. All right, let's use Steve's vanilla. I don't need to measure. Huh?
Quick before he comes back.
Yeah. So we're just gonna do a splash. That's good enough.
Homemade.
Now heat pieces. So we are going to go ahead and turn on our refrigeration and get this freezing. I'm going to wait probably about a minute, let it get a little bit firmer in there before I go and dump my heat pieces in. That way it'll help keep it suspended. The smaller models, you kind of want to get a little bit quick when you go to pour in your inclusions versus the larger models, you have a lot more space to do so. You could go 3, 4, 5 minutes into it probably without worrying about dumping in your extra product. So when you start the refrigeration, we have a timer that starts here for you. It's not going to tell you when it's done. It's not going to shut off. It's just to kind of help you with your timing of your batches. Oh, I'm 8 minutes in. Your very first batch of the day will always take longer than the rest of your batches because your cylinder is warm. It's a fresh startup. So if you're timing your batches, run your first one, then do your second one, and that's going to be your true batch time. So we're about at a minute right now, so we're going to add our heat pieces. These are pretty small bags, so I got 2. I might not need the second one. You can do anything that you like to make this crunch. Heath toffee pieces are amazing for almost the crunch with anything. They blend in with almost anything you want to make. It's a great little secret to know about the toffee bits. There's big bulk companies that you can buy in big bulk versus going to the supermarket and buying it in little bags in small quantities. In your packet, there are some other places like Demon's Dairy. If you go to our website, Key Suppliers page, there's a whole list of companies that you can buy from as well in big bulk. There's Webstaurant store, if any of you are familiar with that.
25-pound boxes.
Yeah, you can get in 25-pound boxes. You can freeze it. Freezers are your friend in the ice cream industry. Anything you can buy, cookies, mint chips, holiday sales with stuff going on sale, buy it bulk and freeze it. Freezers are definitely your friend. So we were talking about high sugar content and freeze times earlier. So the more sugar you add, the longer it's going to take to freeze. We added chocolate, that's sugar. We added vanilla, that's alcohol and a sugar. We added some Heath chips, that's sugar. So we added sugar, 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 and then plus the dairy mix contains sugar as well. And it's our first batch, so we're going to look at a little bit of a higher freeze time. So we're probably looking around 12, 13 minutes. Any questions?
You left some residue on your cocoa. Does that make any difference?
I left residue in here. Does it? No. We added so much of it, it's not going to really make a difference. The thing with cocoa powder too as well, if you add too much cocoa powder into your ice cream, when you go to scoop it, you're going to notice it's going to be a little bit flaky. That's when you have a sign of it's too cold, which is kind of really hard if you're working with chocolate because it's very, very high in sugar. And then the other one is you added too much powder. So just kind of cut back on that. So sticking around anywhere from 6 to 8 ounces for just 3.5, 4 quarts is always really good. Any questions? No? Definitely not a big talker like Steve. I get to the point, yes.
When you add variegates, do you ever pre-chill those ingredients so it's not like melting the soft ice cream while you're adding a fudge swirl? Or
Would you like to come up and answer that? Jeff is your variegate king. I almost said queen, sorry. He's your variegate king. He's the one that can really answer those questions much better
What was
than
the
I
question about variegate?
do you pre-chill, like if you're adding a fudge swirl, do you
No.
pre-chill the
A
fudge?
variegate, you know what a variegate is? It's those, remember the old-fashioned vanilla fudge ice cream? You know, it had the swirl, you knew it was the fudge. The way I do it, let me see, are we doing a variegate today? I guess maybe I could. Okay, we'll do a variegate today, all right? And then you'll see. I can do that because I happen to have this here, so we'll do a variegate. Okay. We'll make the very berry a variegate. Yes?
Jeff, in some of the previous videos that I've seen online, you add the heat or the products as you're pouring it out from the machine. What's the difference?
I never do that.
Somebody does.
Yeah, most people do. I don't do it. You know what? It makes it uneven because you're trying to manipulate the gate being open, the strength of the ice cream coming in, and then with this hand you're trying to add the pieces of something. I just don't do it.
So you just add it.
I have a philosophy with ice cream. And to me, it's all about the ice cream. I don't care what color it is. I don't care how it looks. I don't care about anything but the taste. That's what I care about. So that's how I do everything. Because and in my stores, no toppings, no mixing flavors, no cones. You get ice cream in a cup because it's all about the ice cream. Let me tell you something. When you do this project, whatever level you're going to go to, you will make the world's best ice cream. Forget Ben & Jerry's, forget Haagen-Dazs, forget any of them. Your ice cream's better. Did you taste how creamy that ice cream was? And that's 10% mix. Haagen-Dazs uses 16% mix, butterfat. So with a 10% mix, I can make the ice cream so creamy. And whether you taste what she's making by lowering the speed, it's still a 10%. By law, she can't sell that as gelato because by law, gelato is 6 to 8% butterfat, which is much reduced. But because you're churning it at such a slower speed, it gets thick and creamy. So anything I do in this business is all about the ice cream. That's it. It's all I care about. A lot of people add color. When I make my pistachio, it's white. When I make everything else, it's pretty much beige like this because I don't add color. I don't use artificial flavors. I don't use extracts. So that's just me. I want our ice creams to taste like when we were kids. When I was a kid. That's it. Yes, sir.
Do you market that as part of your product, or do you just, when the customers come in, say,
You don't have to because it's so good. You know, marketing is my field. That's what I'm good at. And you don't have to do it. Your very first person that comes into your store, let me know when you need me to stop talking. The very first person that comes into your store is your first salesman. And after the first day, you'll have 60 people your first day. There's 60 people going out into the world telling everybody about this unbelievable ice cream. Now, the guy's a real he's not a nice guy. He won't mix flavors. There's no sprinkles, no hot fudge. I can't even get a damn cone. But the ice cream is unbelievable. So that's my aim. And you don't have to do that. I mean, the stores that I've started and now turned over to people, they sell cones, they mix flavors, they have different sizes. I had one size. They have different sizes. They have sprinkles, they have hot fudge, they make their own cones, which smell delicious. It's just, that's what you want to do. And that's fine, as long as that ice cream is the world's best ice cream, and it will be. This is amazing, this ice cream. I mean, you go to the store and buy ice creams, nothing like what you're going to make.
I know you said that you put most of your ingredients in there versus like on like a variegate at the end. Do you find that anything's falling apart? So like with the Reese's cup, do you feel like it gets just turned into an absolute mush in there? Or is it you putting it late enough that it doesn't matter?
Well, that's an interesting point. I like an absolute mush.
Okay.
I like when you, for instance, my M&M ice cream, which you'll all make because it's #1 seller. It'll never go out of style. It has little pieces of M&Ms in there. And because I grind them up, I also add chocolate chips because that's what M&Ms are without the coating. So I throw in a bag of chocolate chips. So what you're getting is, as far as texture, you're getting that smooth, delicious ice cream with tons of flavor, but you're also getting a little bonus. And that's what those Heath bars would have been in my first ice cream, a little bonus.
Okay, yeah,
I wish we'd have had them in there.
I have a little 1-quart countertop like Cuisinart that I've been
Right.
messing with recipes, and sure I can put stuff in there, and sometimes I have, but a lot of it I've added separately. Well, I put Reese cups in there once, and it just turned into grossness. It was just, I didn't like the way it was. I like.
Well, what happened? What were they like at the end?
It was only thing that was really left was the edges of the Reese cup, but the entire center of it.
Well, the
had-
peanut butter is going to dissolve.
Right. So I didn't know if you put it in later in the machine if it would keep.
How did it taste? How did it taste?
I didn't care for it personally. No. So then I remade it with the cups added afterwards, and I liked it. So that's why I'm asking kind of where you do that.
You probably make your own mix, right?
No.
You buy it?
Yeah.
Is it a pre-made mix like this, or is it in
Yeah, I
that
have-
carton that says ice cream mix?
No, I have a buddy who works for a food distributor, so he got me the black.
Okay. Well, with the Cuisinart little 1-quart, it's very small with little to no overrun
Right.
on that either. And then the peanut butter is very high in fat, so depending on that fat content plus the fat from the peanut butter, that could have been what you didn't care for. It was just so high in fat, the two of them together.
Okay. Yeah, 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's and with this. Do you freeze the cylinder for 24 hours, or is it compressor? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a cutoff check. Right now we're at almost pushing 11 minutes. This is what I was talking about before with the cutoff. So it's going to pour. It's going to have a good little puddling, peaking, whichever. So let's see. Not quite for me. I'm going to go probably another couple more minutes as we discussed, probably about 12, 13 minutes. Even if I shut off the refrigeration, it's still going to freeze for a little bit. But we added a lot of sugar in here. Chocolate is the number one thing that's always going to take longer to freeze. Any other questions on that?
Sugar in all its forms takes longer to freeze.
Yes.
Whether it's alcohol or honey or caramel or dulce de leche, it's all sugar, and it takes longer to firm up.
Yes.
So, when you're making ice cream, does your altitude have any effect on
Does my what?
the altitude that we live at almost 9,000 feet? Does that affect how the ice cream?
I personally, so she asked, does the altitude affect the integrity of the ice cream? I personally haven't heard anything on that. I know we have a ton of customers up north or up in the mountains, Colorado. I've never heard anything on that. I don't feel like I'm educated enough to answer that question. I'm going to say no, only because I haven't heard anything from anybody. Nobody's ever said, hey, your formula doesn't work because of my altitude. The only thing that I have heard from is butterfats. So we run with a 10% here. So whatever formulas you see that we use is always based on 10%. That's what's in the book too as well. So if you start working with higher butterfats, 12, not going to really make a difference. But once you hit that 14, 16, 18, these formulas that you loved here and you tasted today, and you run an 18% butterfat, it's going to taste very bland. It's going to taste very diluted. So you're going to have to increase your amounts with the higher butterfat that you work with because it's that fat absorbing all that flavor. So we're pushing 13 minutes.
Easy to what?
Huh? Yeah, what do you think? Good? Good? One more? Let's see. No, that was a psych, wasn't it?
Looks creamier.
So working with Gelato too, if you run it on that setting, so we talked about how it's a 6-quart batch freezer. That is what it's capable of producing. So if you put in 3.5, you're going to get 6.5, 7-ish quarts put back out of it. If you put in 3, you're going to get 6, 6.5 out. That's at homemade setting. But because we ran it as Gelato, we're not going to get that full 6 quarts because we run it at a slower speed, which means less air, so it's going to be more dense. Did you have a question? Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. All right, well, let's give it another cutoff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to call it good to go. So I'm going to swap my pans. All right, we're going to shut off our refrigeration. Here we go. And just because, so I can rub it in Jeff's face. Isn't that nice and creamy? Oops. Let's swap pans.
What do you do with all the ice cream you make here?
Well, we give it away to employees. Steve, he is very famous for taking it to doctor's appointments to get in sooner. He's like, I've got ice cream, it's melting, let me in. So if we were to run homemade setting with ice cream, it would have filled up 2 of these and then probably a little bit of some. But because we ran it on gelato, we're only getting 1 pan. And then the thing with gelato too is you always want to sell it at a higher price because you're not getting as big of a bang for your buck. So if you're paying $20-something for your bladder of mix and you're running it at gelato or custard setting, which is very thick and dense, you're getting essentially what you're putting into the machine right back out. You're not getting much volume and you're not doubling your product. All right, time to scoop. Awkward silence while you guys all stare.
Now, just to hear the counterpoint of that, I don't.
Can you come on camera, please? Please.
Maybe someday we'll get a camera that'll swivel.
Maybe.
Maybe, but maybe not. I don't agree with charging more for what is perceived as a premium product like gelato. I invented the alcohol in ice cream, what they call the boozy ice cream, or I call adult flavors. And do you think that cost me more? You bet it did. But I didn't charge any more. And I always heard people appreciate that. Now, I'll tell you why. Would you charge less money for plain vanilla ice cream? No, you wouldn't. And all you're doing is taking the mix, putting it in the machine, and sitting back and having a cigar. It costs you much less to make the vanilla ice cream, but you're not charging less for it. Once you start getting into charging by the ingredients, it's not fair. It's not perceived by the customer as being fair. They're going to look up on the board and they're going to see, oh, rum raisin is $7, but pistachio is $6. Why is that? And then you go into explaining, well, I put alcohol in the rum raisin. They don't care. Now, let me just say this, why I don't do it. There's so much freaking money that you're going to make in this business, it doesn't matter. Because what you make on the vanilla and you lose on, say, an adult flavor or the gelato, you're still way ahead of the game. You won't have to, as soon as you open, from day one, you won't have to think about money. The only thing you're going to do is you're going to keep track of how many customers you had in a day. And that'll keep going up because you make an incredible product. But as far as money, you won't have to think about it. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. And this is from day one. It just doesn't matter.
I'm getting a little more deeper into the business part of it. So do you track your number of customers so that you produce more or less depending on?
Okay, let me explain this. I'm no accounting genius. I'm not great with numbers. I had those notebooks with the black and white covers that kids used to carry?
Composite.
You can't take pages out of them. They're in there for good. Well, that was my there it is right there. That was my entire accounting procedure. It was called my comes in, goes out book. And in the beginning, the first part of the book is everything that I spent money on. Rent once a month, electricity, the mix, the Oreo cookie, whatever I bought, I put in the front. And at the end of the day, I put a line and I found my total. The back of the book was what comes in. And every day, you take your register tape or your computer tape or whatever, and you put how much you took in that day. And that was my whole accounting procedure. my comes in, goes out book. And I had that for the first 11 years of my business. I had volumes of comes in, goes out. And then every month I would total what I did for the month. It's silly. We were open 4 hours a day. We opened at 6 o'clock at night and we closed at 10. 4 hours, 6 days a week. That was my store because I didn't see the benefit of me working all day for 7 ice creams during the day. So it took just under 2 years before we did it. You know what it is, right? It is $1 million. The second store I opened in Daytona Beach, granted it was a touristy area. It wasn't on the beach. It was a block off on A1A, which is, right there. And in that store, we did it in 11 months. It's a silly business, one that you'll never regret going into. Just do it. Yes.
Yeah, going back to my original question.
You've had a lot of questions.
So from a production standpoint, if you track, so you're probably not selling as much ice cream now versus middle of July, or are you?
Track what?
The number of customers that come in, your sales.
Nothing matters but how much you took in that day.
Because you can freeze it, doesn't matter, right?
You can what?
You can freeze a product,
Oh, sure.
so it doesn't matter how much
No.
you produce.
And you'll find out in the beginning, I made ice cream maybe twice a week. I would make 40 gallons. And then I started with a 6-quart, I started with a 6-quart machine. And by the time I was making ice cream every day, up to 80 gallons, I realized that it's time to get that machine. And that really helped. And believe it or not, after a while, I was doing the same thing on that machine. And it's great. Making ice cream, I never made it when the store was open. That was a rule I had. The store was closed, I locked the door, I put my music on, and I made ice cream. Sometimes I had a book that I was reading. And that's a good time, because if you have to really think of it. This isn't like opening a laundromat or a gas station. You have to think about what you're doing. You're providing, certainly nobody needs ice cream. Nobody needs ice cream. On this whole earth, nobody needs it. But everybody wants it. So when you stop and realize what you're making that morning, wow, I'm making cherry vanilla. Oh, they're going to love this. It becomes a situation unto itself where you're happy because of what you're doing. And that's not working, is it?
Let's talk briefly, and then we're going to take a break.
Take
so
a
you can
break?
Stretch your,
We only made one flavor.
Oh, we made 2. You
No,
made 1,
we
I
only made one. You've been out there having a party, enjoying yourself. We've been here working.
I was betting on the ponies.
We've only made one flavor.
I know, but I'm following her list. Jeff brought up a very good point that he started with a CB350 and worked up. He had how many square feet in the original store?
57.
57 square feet. It's unbelievable. It can't be done, but he did it. But our customer base has changed over the years, as a good business should. It used to be the average person was getting ready to retire, and they are looking to see what they're going to do next, and they want to open up a frozen dessert business, be it gelato or Italian ices or ice cream, and that's when we would get them. And these are people who would be in their late 50s, 60s, that average range, and they have worked a lot of years in their life. They have money in the bank. They have lines of credit. They've got a nest egg. That age group has gone down dramatically. Now our biggest market, besides that group, we have an additional market. It doesn't replace it. It's an addition. Gen Z, Gen X, Millennial. These are people who are, say, 25 up to 39. Tremendous amount of drive, not a lot of money, not a lot of credit, line of credit ready to go. And in the meantime, the rents have gone up dramatically. So where we used to do 2,000 square feet as a norm, now it's 900. Sometimes it's 750. That's a small store. But if you've got, as Jeff says, a line out the door because everybody loves ice cream, it doesn't matter what size square foot store it is. It just means that we're going to cut down on the number of flavors because we literally don't have room for 30 flavors of dipping cabinets. You don't have a lot of money, so we're going to start you with a highly affordable machine, the CB350, that does every single feature that the bigger one does, but you can afford it. And instead of starting you, I would like to see you in a hardening cabinet, a flash freezer, but if you can't afford that in the first 6 months or a year, you start with a couple of $900 chest freezers from Home Depot. So we're putting this store together for very low money and a limited amount of flavors, maybe 12 flavors, 10 of them ice cream, 2 of them dairy-free, maybe a separate cabinet seasonally for Italian ices or fresh fruit sorbets. But the idea is to get you into business, get your name known, and the money pouring in. When that money's coming in, nothing else matters. It means that you can expand. So say 6 months, a year after we put you in business, and our success rate is unbelievably high. But we're going to get the phone call, and it's going to be, hey, I'm running the CB350, but I'm running it 10 hours a day. I need a bigger machine. Well, the answer is no, you don't need a bigger machine, not yet. I wish it was. What you need is more hardening space because you can run this 24 hours a day, but if you have no place to put it, you're stopped. So at 900 square foot, you're probably not going to have room for a third chest freezer. But then you've got money coming in. Then we're going to talk to you about a flash blast freezer, hardening cabinet, that does the job overnight, incredibly cold, and that it's all about building inventory. Then the next call, a year later, is going to be, oh, I need the bigger machine. And our answer still may be no. Not the greatest salespeople in the world. We should be selling you right up front. But the answer might be no, because I like especially working with police, fire, and military. My wife's father was NYPD. I have fire background, just military. I have no background in military, but they're the greatest salt of the earth people to work with. And they all have second jobs. We don't pay them enough as policemen and firemen to be able to support their family the way they would like to. So they moonlight. Back up in New York, Paula's father did landscaping out on Long Island. That's what everyone did. Down here in Central Florida, we're so busy turning orange groves into gated communities, all the cops and firemen are putting up fencing. And you can go anywhere in the country, no matter where you are watching this, it's the same truth, that police and fire have second jobs and they're looking for the income. I also like working with them, police, fire, and military, because my union guys were always, oh, I got to go work at Emory Thompson. I'd rather be home, watching The View and drinking beer. Police, fire, and military all look at your business as their mission. My mission tonight is to make you the boss 50, 60 gallons of ice cream, and then I can go home. So I'm going to work midnight to 6 a.m., and if I finish at 5:20, I get to go home early. I still get paid to 6. A very great, reliable source and a way for you to increase the volume of the store without having to buy a whole lot more equipment. Then, because you're 28 or 34 or 38, you're not going to have just one store like me or Jeff, and I don't have a store. You're going to open 5 stores, and you're going to open them within 5 years or less. So you're going to take that CB350 you bought that put you in business, made you a lot of money, got you going, and you're going to move it to another store 15 miles away. And instead of shipping ice cream 15 miles, you're going to ship the ice cream maker. Your ice cream maker is going to work for you on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday at the other store supplying ice cream. And that's how you grow the business. We work with you. We tell you that we're going to do everything for free except for the machinery, but we're here to help you on every aspect of it. When the health department comes in and says, oh, you need a dairy tile floor, we're going to talk about an $87 two-stage epoxy floor. All these little tips to get you going. This is not a joke. What they call Italian ice in Philadelphia, they call WADA, W-A-D-D-A, WADA ice. Werder ice, yeah. It's like they can't speak English. Okay.
Okay, now it's hypocrite, Jeff, because I always profess how I like simple flavors, few ingredients. Well, this one doesn't match those criteria. This is, but man, I had to make it. It's pina colada. It's an adult flavor, so know now that it has alcohol in it. And it's a wild seller. My stores are in Florida. It's always hot. Not today, but it's usually hot. Pina colada is a winner. It's good. You'll see. Well, you'll see. So with all these ingredients, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ingredients. I don't think I have another flavor that has 7 ingredients in it. Okay, so we ready? We ready?
I'm washing dishes.
I'm just wondering if you're ready. Okay. Now, the last flavor we made, now this is true. If I had my store right here, I'm telling you what I feel. The last flavor we made was English toffee. And you tasted it. It was sweet, it was mild, and it was creamy. Nothing that would change my direction of another flavor. In other words, I'm not going to clean the machine now. We're going to go ahead and make pina colada. Because the ingredients in pina colada, rum, canned coconut, crushed pineapple, they're all big things, big, bold flavors. It's not going to affect anything, okay? You could rinse it if you want, but I'm not even going to do that.
I agree.
Okay. Okay.
Rare. Get that on tape.
Now what I will do is I will turn it on and just get the last dregs of the ice cream. So we'll see if we get anything else out of there. We should get a couple more drops or something. Or not.
Is the gate open?
No. There we go. Who said that?
Everybody here.
You get a free apron.
Wow.
Oh, it's cute.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're pretty much empty. And it's been sitting there for a while, so it's pretty much liquefied. Pretty much we're done. So we'll close this up. We'll get rid of this. And we'll put a new one here. And now we'll put our mix in. This was a little tricky because all my recipes call for a full batch in a 24. In the book that's included in there, you also get the 6-quart measurements. But these are 10 quarts. But I couldn't make the 10 quart because we don't have all the mix we need today thought out. So I had to go 3/4 on this. No, 3/4. So I had to sit down, and math isn't my strong suit. I had to do 3/4 of all this. So I'm going to check it with you before I add the ingredients to make sure I got it right. And because you got an apron, you better be there.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, here's the mix. Oh, this is heavy. I don't want to hear it.
She couldn't see you over there. You're good.
What?
You didn't do the one.
All right, so that's 7.5 quarts of mix, 3/4, right? Now the original recipe, coconut rum, called for this, which is a 175. So 3/4 of it, as best I could figure out, was 44 ounces. Does anybody, nobody knows, you're all daydreaming. 44 ounces.
It should be 175 again, anyway.
Yeah, that's
What?
That's what I'm thinking.
It should be 1.75.
That's what this is.
Exactly.
So what's 3/4 of it?
He's saying
He said just pour.
Put it all in?
It may never freeze.
No. I would put all of the other stuff, but not liquor. It becomes too liquory. So how many ounces are in a 175? Anybody here have a cell phone with that cute girl on it that answers every question imaginable? How many ounces? Oh, this is interminable.
Was it 58 based off of you dividing it into 3/4, right?
59.174.
How many?
59.174.
What's 3/4 of 59.1743457? What's 3/4 of that?
44 and a quarter.
44. All right, we're good so far. So 44. This only goes up to 32. Oh, that's not going to do.
Well, there's 4 cups in a quart, and there's 8 ounces in a cup. No, never mind.
You're putting a whole quart of liquor in?
Excuse me, is this your flavor or mine?
No, I'm asking you, are you putting a whole quart of liquor in?
I'm putting in 44 ounces.
And you see why the employee retention rate is high. Well, there goes that.
Now, this isn't straight liquor. This is coconut rum.
It's a low proof.
It's a low proof. How many ounces we got here? 36. So that means how many more? 8. Okay.
When you work with different proofs of liquors, so Jack Daniel's much higher proof than a Malibu or coconut rum. So you can add more coconut rum versus you could of a Jack.
And most of the adult flavors in my course, in my books, in my world are liqueurs, which are certainly much less and much higher flavors. 8 ounces, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, 8 ounces. Steve's freaking out over there.
No, I'm reading a news flash that says Red Dye 40 has now been banned from all foods.
Well, that only took 40 years.
It was 35 years after it was banned in cosmetics. It's been around since 1907. Thank goodness.
Okay, canned coconut. This is the miracle stuff. This is grated coconut. Where's my...
Where's your can opener?
Right there.
Oh, the one that
Thank
doesn't
you,
work.
The
dear.
one that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's pretty though.
It is pretty.
Okay, I realize that if you put it on the counter, it doesn't work. If you hold it, you got a shot at it.
Is that coconut milk or grated coconut?
Grated coconut. And the brand is either Conchita or Ansel or Goya. Now, Ansel and Goya are the same company. I couldn't find it when I went shopping, so I got this, which... Oh, yeah. This will be good. But my brand of choice, we shouldn't say that on... Should we?
Sure we can.
Okay.
Yeah,
My
you're
brand of
teaching.
choice is Ansel or Goya. They're the same product, same company, same product. I find that theirs is a little juicier. But we've certainly got enough juice in this ice cream, don't we? All right, so how much of this do we add? Well, normally it was 75 ounces, but 3/4 I came up with 56. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right.
About right. Who cares? All right, 56, and these are 32. So we'll turn the machine on without the freezing on, and we'll add, how many ounces did I say?
56.
So 56, we said?
Yeah.
And these are
32.
32, so it's about 3/4 of this? Huh?
Minus 8 ounces.
Yeah, I don't know. Not my strong suit here, this math stuff. Now, in this ice cream, you think you can have too much coconut? No. So let's just throw it in. Okay. Now we need crushed pineapple, also 56. And these are 20. So 3 of these should do just about right.
Now keep in mind the crushed pineapple's in a sugar syrup, so it's going to add to the freezing time.
I'm just going
Higher
to
the
drain
sugar.
a little of the juice off.
Are you going to drain some?
Yeah.
You still have the fruit, but so higher sugar content, longer freezing time.
Is that in fresh, is that in real juice or is it in syrup?
You got your apron. I don't want to have to take it back now. In 100% pineapple juice, no sugar added.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, this, and I'm not going to press it down. I'm just going to let some of the extra juice fall out.
You can also go to the supermarket to the ice cream aisle, and at the head of the ice cream aisle, they have frozen bags of all different fruits that were picked at the height of their freshness. And so you have pineapple, mango, strawberry, raspberry, and you just buy those bags and you bring them home frozen and throw them in the refrigerator the night before. So now you're not getting anything, no stabilizers, no chemicals, no, it wasn't pasteurized to put it into a can and keep it shelf stable, just the fruit.
Okay, so that's what we have. And we'll add this in now.
I forgot the little creamers. There you go, guys.
A lot of ingredients.
I know.
You know me, I hate ingredients.
Christy, I was mentioning that the all of that fruit going in adds to the freezing time.
Yes,
Which
it
is not a
does.
problem, but you just have to be aware of it.
Wow, Jeff.
That's a lot of fruit. And the alcohol. We may be here till tomorrow.
We're gonna have a pina colada slush.
Okay, now there's more. Now we're going to add
I'm gonna get out of your way.
cream of coconut. 12 ounces, so this is 15. Close enough, right?
Jeff's been doing his rounding up.
Yes. In the container behind you.
What is cream of coconut?
It's coconut.
What is cream of
Probably
coconut?
coconut in a sugar syrup.
Must be condensed coconut milk.
Dairy-free, gluten-free cream of coconut. Doesn't tell you what it is. Let's see, just out of ingredients: coconut milk, sugar, polysorbate, and then I don't want to go on. I don't know. Come here.
That's okay.
Come here.
We haven't got all day.
Come here.
Yes.
What do you think?
What about it?
I don't know.
That's the way it looks.
That's normal.
That's
It is?
normal.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
normal. That's
Absolutely.
that's the fat separating.
Okay.
Coconut has fat.
Okay.
Have you made this before?
No,
This
clearly.
may never freeze.
Oh, you put that much alcohol in it?
Yeah, I did.
All
I know.
right.
Now, the alcohol, of course, never freezes, but in our machines, it'll stay in suspension.
And now the
Unless
last
you
thing.
put most of a bottle in it. I usually go, the max I put into a 24 quart would be a fifth.
Yeah, now
I
I
think-
only had stores for 15 years and made this for 15 years. So maybe he's right.
Have you made this one?
Of course.
Okay.
It's the top flavor. Now flakes, 3/4 of a quart.
You're gonna have to open it back up. It keeps spitting.
Okay, not a problem. 3/4 of a quart.
Is that sweet?
That'll do.
It's unsweetened. Unsweetened, I don't know who asked that. You could use either or. Obviously adding sweetened coconut just increases the sugar content.
Can I have a spoon, Steve?
How about that? Just don't hit the blades.
No, a spoon.
A spoon.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
just
just for
shredded
tasting.
coconut.
You
is
know
all
I
that
always
is. It
taste
adds good
everything.
Of
texture
course I do.
and body to
There you
it.
go.
Taste it.
Okay. Don't have to ask me twice.
Now this is perfect. All right, so there we go. 7 ingredients. Now, by the way, we were talking before. This is an expensive ice cream, isn't it? 7 expensive ingredients: canned coconut, cream of coconut, plus the liquor. So now if you're a customer and you walk into a store and you see that the ice cream is $6 and you say, oh, I'll have, the pina colada's $8, you don't feel good about it. And you're probably not going to buy it because the other ice cream's got to be just as good. And like I said, you don't charge less for vanilla, do you? $6 ice creams, the vanilla's $5. I'll have the vanilla. That's not happening. So just let it go. Everything will even itself out. I know you don't believe that, but it does. You can check by my Rolls Royce outside. So that's the story. Any questions about this ice cream? Now, we do have a sign that you must be 21 to buy these. And a lot of times you'll see people trying to get away with it because you do get a buzz from the ice cream. We know that when people come in, they usually come in 4s, 2s, maybe 6s, the amount of people. And you can tell when one person orders it, they all order it. So they'll sit down at the table and you can set your watch. 10 minutes later, you hear the laughter at that table a little louder. It's true. I mean, it's so true. Yes.
You don't need any special licensing
No.
to sell boozy ice cream?
No.
It's an ingredient.
It's an ingredient in your product. But we do have a sign that you must be 21. Now, sometimes if the kid is 19 and he's there with his mother or father, the guy will try to, we don't like it. And we say something. But it's, let me see, how often is it an issue? Twice a year. So don't worry about it.
The licensing, is that for the liquor, is that just for the state of Florida?
No,
Or is that?
no, national.
Okay.
It used to be a very difficult issue, but all states now, because your commercial ice creams some are even being sold as liquor ice creams in the
Man,
supermarket.
you're good, you're helping
so
out.
they have all pretty much decided it's an ingredient.
Massachusetts, I live in Mass, we have to contact the ATF and everything, it's actually illegal in Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts is always different.
Well, and
Yeah.
also, let me say
But,
this. My father had an expression, if you look, you'll find. And nothing is more true than this so-called liquor law. If you ask, there are books like this that will get you thinking about every aspect of this, and when it comes down to the end, I can't do it. But it's not true. And one second, And when we first opened, and I had, maybe 5 adult flavors, it was a local store, and word got around, of course, and somebody came in from the health department and said, "We hear you're selling alcohol here." And I said, "No." He said, "Well, what about those ice cream flavors?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What percentage alcohol do you use?" So I had, of course, done my research, and I said, "Oh, it's about 2%. And he said, "Oh, okay, no problem." Now, if he wanted to press me on that, he would have to take a sample of the ice cream, maintain the integrity of the temperature of the ice cream till he got it to a lab. And the lab would have to do extensive work on it to break it down, and this would cost thousands of dollars. I told him it was 2 to 2.5%. He said, "Oh, okay," and he left, and that was the end of it. Now, we're on TV now, aren't we?
Yeah, unfortunately,
Is it 2.5%?
probably.
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go.
So you're saying if the required volume, that it has to be under 3.1% in your state, then you're saying that people should make it at 2.5% or something lower than 3.1.
Right.
Yeah, right. Okay, gotcha, understood.
You know, the bottom line
Yeah.
is, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So if you don't need a license, are you putting the 21 years old or older sign just as a courtesy for the customer? Or?
No, I don't know. What would you say?
You're
to that?
doing it because ice cream is a family business. And if your son is 6'2" and he's 15, he's walking in going, "I'd like that rum raisin, please." Let's see your proof. Oh, I left it in the car. And then they go and disappear. So you're doing it to protect the moms. When they started putting CBD into ice cream, it was going to take over the world. I was very much against it. I just said, moms are not going to like this. And pretty much it disappeared. So it's really a matter of, do you really want this in a family business as your what you look like? Jeff's business is extremely unique. His very first one was on the edge of one of the largest retirement communities in the country. And it was hysterical from the way Jeff tells it, because, you know, these older people who are retired, they're playing golf all day long, they're having dinner at 3:30, and at the 3:30 when they're having dinner, the wife is saying, usually the wife's saying to the husband, "Now you're limited to 2 glasses of red wine, that's it, you're cut off." And he grumbles, and they have their 2 glasses of red wine, and that's dinner. And then about 6:30, you go, "Hey, hon, let's go over to Jeff's place and get some ice cream." And they're both a wink and a nod because they know there's alcohol in the ice cream. So they're going over and they're meeting their friends, and it was a wonderful big party. I once asked Jeff, I said, what about children? You're pushing away children. He goes, "Oh no, we love children. Children are fantastic. They just can't come in the store." But the 21 age is a good one to sign. Yes.
So I went to an ice cream store. Oh, and Newport Richie has it. That's where it's at. That's boozy. It's attached to a brewery. They do floaters on top. Did you ever do floaters?
No, because you would have to have a liquor license.
That's what
Because
I
you have
think.
actual liquor, they're serving it.
Now, we do malts and shakes with adult ice cream. That's very popular.
Yeah.
Isn't it, if you put a straw in it, is when you have to have a liquor license, Jeff?
It's a milkshake.
You put
Yes,
a
sir.
straw in it.
Yes.
So it's legal. Do you find it difficult to keep it because of the alcohol?
Again, the alcohol is going to stay in suspension. It's not going to freeze. So yes, if you overdo it, it's always going to run on the soft side. So again, like we were talking about earlier this morning, that's a flavor that's going to run soft. Put it in the corner of your dipping cabinet because it's colder in the corner than the center.
And when we talked about tempering, you don't have to temper the adult flavors.
Nope. But the 21 and older sign is very helpful to everyone. Yes.
When coconut is part of your base, when coconut milk is part of your base, what?
What's the question?
When coconut milk of your base, right?
If you're saying a coconut-based ice cream, a dairy-free ice cream, yes, using coconuts, great.
Does this still work as a flavor?
I don't make anything other than whole ice cream. I don't make sugar-free, I don't make dairy-free, I don't make lactose intolerant, I don't make any of that.
I do though. Yes.
Yeah, most
It
people
will
do.
work with anything that's non-dairy as well. It'll work with coconut milks, coconut waters. It'll work with just straight juice, which is going to be our next flavor. And then I'm kind of thinking about borrowing some of that rum for mine. But we'll talk about that later. Yeah? No? Yeah? Okay. Anyways, but yes, it'll work just fine with non-dairy based. I like dairy-free. Meadowvale is a very good company. They have almost every mix you can think of.
This
It's
is
also in your packet. It tells you what flavors and types of mixes they have and custards and whatnot. They have a dairy-free that comes in a bladder. I absolutely love it. The texture is amazing. It is very creamy. It is very smooth. They just come out with another one called P-fection, and it's pea-based. So with their traditional one of the coconut-based one, any flavor you make, it has to complement a coconut because the base is coconut. There's no way around it. So they created a new one called P-fection, so you can pair that with almost anything and there is no background taste of the coconut. There's another company called Mommy's Gelato. They make about 6 different kinds, and this is a dairy-free base as well. It's a powder. So this is a froconut, this is an outrageous. This is coconut based, this is oat based. So once again, whatever you make with the coconut, you have to have the flavor complement that, versus the oat, you don't really have to. These are very shelf stable, stick them on, they can ship, they can be imported wherever you need them to go. If you're only holding a couple of flavors of dairy free, this is a good option. If you are having a lot of dairy free, dairy, say that 5 times fast, dairy free flavors, then you could do Meadowvale. Meadowvale you can freeze as well too. It's tapioca based, so it gets thick pretty quick. So once it's thawed, you gotta use it right away. Don't let it sit too long. But both are great options, shelf stable, not shelf stable versus the Meadowvale. This can last for like a year sitting around. Both good options. I prefer Meadowvale over Mommy's, but they're still both great, really great products. You wanna pass
This is an
around?
important product to have in your store. Jeff would never do it. Excuse me. Because above a certain age, usually above 40, we're all eating Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry. Below 40, and that's going to be the largest age group ever to come along, the below 40. They're replacing us. They like the dairy-free. They don't like dairy for a lot of different reasons. Lactose intolerant, we don't like cows. You know, who knows what the reason is. There's a lot of different reasons. But you have to have this because if you're only catering the ice cream, you're going to miss out on a whole age group. So if I was doing a small store, I would have 12 flavors and maybe 8 of them are ice cream. 2 or 3 are going to be dairy-free and some sorbet. So that you have a mix of frozen desserts for everybody. If you only had space for 2 different products, ice cream and the dairy-free. It was reported recently that 42% of all scoop sales now around the world are dairy-free, and they expect it to go to 50% by the end of this decade. You can't ignore dairy-free. And I call up some old-time customers, people who've been in business for 50 years, and I say, do you doing dairy-free? And Jeff might answer, what do I need with this dairy-free stuff? I got a store full of people. And I say, well, how many of them are under 35? Oh, I don't know, there's maybe 1 or 2. Exactly. They're a bigger age group than us baby boomers. You've got to replace us with them. So you better, again, back to what I said this morning about my coffee banana ice cream. You have to sell what the customer wants, not what you want to sell.
Do you think I care who's handing me $10? I don't care if they're 80 or 180. I don't care. If my store is full and they're handing me $10 each person is, I'm okay.
We're selling machines, more machines to people under 40 than we are over 50. So you got to go with what the market says.
And I like including everybody, so if I have 1 or 2 things for everybody in my store, I'm gonna do it. If it takes just 2 little spots, I don't care. I don't want to turn a little boy, someone's grandmother away just because I don't have something dairy-free. You can even make an Italian ice. It doesn't have to be a non-dairy. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know, I don't think,
Yes,
Jeff
we use it
agrees
for
with
display. We don't use
but,
it.
Well, that's why Jeff's here. We disagree on everything.
Alright, so I know sugar-free is pretty difficult, but no sugar added. So you're using like the base and then you're using sugar-free add-ins to...
Correct. So it's a no sugar added product. So the cow's milk has sugar. There's no way around it. So there is no such existence as a real ice cream to be sugar free. You can do a dairy ice cream but add no sugar added, like sugar free cookies, sugar free candies, things like that. And when you do Italian ice,
When you get into the sorbets and Italian ices, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm wearing an insulin pump and a device. And so I've come up with the using a product called allulose. Allulose is a combination of rare fruits, and it's 1-to-1 with cane sugar. It's a powder. I'll pass it around. Acts just like sugar. Has no effect on my glycemic scale whatsoever. I can eat this all day long and it won't affect me. And it's a great product. It solves a problem. It costs more, substantially more than sugar. So I usually add $1. If I'm going to get $3 for an Italian ice, I'm going to charge $4 for the sugar-free. But this solves a whole lot of problems. Now, a lot of people, this is caught on. Splenda is now selling sugar-free products. There's a product called erythritol, erythritol. Do not ever use erythritol. It's in gummy bears for kids. It'll give an adult a heart attack. It is just miserable, miserable stuff. But allulose is just fantastic.
Do you seem to get any pushback on saying it's no sugar added, or people want to know how much sugar is in it? Concern from them?
It's a no-win argument. When I was courting my wife 20 years ago, her father, the cop, was eating Breyer's no sugar added ice cream. And so I brought my ice cream. I'm gonna, schmooze the old man. And he wouldn't touch it because it wasn't no sugar added. He then takes his vanilla ice cream, God rest your soul, he takes his vanilla ice cream and pours half a container of Hershey's syrup over it. I'm going, so much for the sugar-free or no sugar added.
So much for the taste also.
Yeah, you can go crazy trying to get this. And again, you got to look at the market. If only 1 in 30 people's asking for sugar-free, you probably don't want to sell it in your market because it's going to sit there and then they complain you don't have enough flavors. It's a tough road to go to find the balance. So how is it?
it's
You won't
good.
eat it.
No, I can't.
If you have texture sensory issues, this is not for you. I love boozy flavors. That's honestly my go-to for everything, especially when it comes to sorbets or Italian ice. I am working on another book just for alcohol-infused products. I'm excited for that. Oops.
I know you guys mentioned in past videos too about carrying alcohol products in the store, and Mother, many years ago in your video, about it being pushed back to a family atmosphere. Do you feel that that's not the case anymore? Or do you still
No,
feel that?
it's still, in many cases, many stores, the children driving where the parents will go. That's important. And, if they're worried about their 15-year-old coming in and getting boozy ice cream, they don't want it. There's enough pressure on them other places in their life without the ice cream parlor having to be it.
There's other alternatives, like even if you're not using like actual like Kahlua or Bailey's, there's like flavoring like that, so you can kind of like say it's like booze, like tasting ice cream or something like that, where it's actually not booze, but like the flavoring is still Kahlua or Bailey's, so you're still like tasting it without the alcohol.
Yes, yeah, I'm familiar with the Baileys,
Yeah.
and it does work. It isn't the same, but it doesn't work. Either Jeff or Christy mentioned about putting too much alcohol in. We had a gentleman come in with real Kentucky, he made it in the backwoods, grain alcohol, 151 proof, It was probably higher if there is such a thing. And we made that ice cream, and everybody, it was vanilla. Everybody would taste it, went like that. It was just so, it got you here. And the stuff would sit at 10 below zero in the freezer, and it was as soft ice cream. You couldn't get it to harden, so you can overdo it. It was one of those cases where too much is never enough, didn't apply. It's supposed to be a flavor, not a mixed drink.
Speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
You should use the whole
exact
bottle.
same way, but without the alcohol.
I'm sorry?
Do you make the same recipe, but just leave out the alcohol?
Yes, and then to kind of play off what he was asking, I don't know if anybody heard him, he was asking about, can you still make this flavor taste like the bourbon or the rum or the Baileys or Kahlua without actually using the alcohol? Yes. So also in your packet, there's a company called Weber Flavors. They are amazing. They literally make anything you can think of under the sun. They can send you samples. They sell direct, so they don't have to go through a distributor, and they can give you a bourbon flavor. I think I might have one actually over here. I've had cheese flavors, like here's a mozzarella one. Because I made a pizza ice cream, FYI. I was asked to make that.
Was it good?
No.
Doesn't sound good, no.
I mean, it tasted, oh, here's a bourbon. I'll pass these around. Cheese and a bourbon. The pizza ice cream was interesting. It wasn't bad, but it didn't taste like that greasy, crunchy pepperoni pizza you're used to tasting. It tasted more like a artisanal pizza, like a margarita pizza, with the basil and the tomato and mozzarella. So that's kind of what it tastes like. All right, let me go give this to Kendall and I'll be back.
I'll pass out the berry.
Oh, don't pass out.
If it doesn't sound like it should go in ice cream, it shouldn't go in ice cream.
I was curious to see if you could basically do that English coffee, but not at all, so that's good. Like you didn't even have to rinse it out.
No.
Saves a lot of time.
Here we go. We'll pass around the next formula. Next, we're going to do a fresh fruit sorbet, aka Italian ice. And again, the difference between a fresh fruit sorbet and Italian ice is what you can charge for it and how you serve it. That's a typical way we sell Italian ice
Your
in
stuff's
New
in the
York.
freezer.
It's a squeeze cup. We fill it with the ice and we squeeze it up from the bottom. It's a lot of fun. It's delicious. Get down so low that I think it has no taste whatsoever. But if you grew up on it, Richie Slush and some of the others, you think it's absolutely wonderful. It sells a lot of machines, so I'm not going to badmouth it that much. But yeah, that's all it is a change in the sugar. Okay?
Done in your machines here too.
Yes, absolutely.
So people ask, how do you come up with your formulas, especially your Italian ice or your alcohol ones or whichever? So it's very simple. You go to the bar and you drink. No. So you have, well, I do that. But I look at the menu and I read what their names are and I read the ingredients and I start doing formulations and calculations in my head. Wow, that'd be a really great drink. Christmas time, holidays, they always put out magazines, books, and it's in your feed, whatever social media you use. And you look at those ingredients and you're like, that would make a really good non-alcoholic drink or an alcohol you can add to it. So that's what I did here. This was actually a Christmas drink that I tinkered with a little bit to make it to what we're going to call the Berry Delight Fresh Fruit Sorbet. Okay.
You can just go buy a bartender's book that
Yeah.
has all the drinks in it and just sit there and go through it and think, well, what would make good ice cream? Because you can translate anything into ice cream.
Right. So we're doing what? Someone we're going to read off a quart, and a quart, right? So flat soda. I have experimented all different kinds of ways of how to make soda flat and what's the most quickest way and efficient. I tried it of opening it for a bunch of days in the fridge. Same result as just opening it the day before, letting it sit, pouring it into a container, doing it how you are now, and mixing it with the sugar makes it really flat. Does it have to be flat? No, but I will tell you that I learned the hard way putting fresh soda right in there with sugar. It's a volcano, and it just starts fizzing out like everywhere. Okay. Just a couple ounces of lime juice, right? Yeah. So we got one. What am I missing? Anything?
Soda,
Got
2
it.
ounces of lime juice,
Got it.
Everything in her
2 pounds of sugar.
supermarket.
Yep. And the thing with Italian ice is people think you always have to use water. You don't. You can use juices just like I'm doing now. I've even made a root beer Italian ice with just straight root beer from the bottle. Pick your favorite root beer. Once again, make it flat, pour it in the container, open it the night before, pour it in the container, mix it with sugar. Yes.
Is your store-bought lime juice same quality or better than freshly squeezed, or you just?
No. Freshly squeezed is always better. If I was making a lime or a lemon Italian ice, I'm going with fresh squeezed lemons or limes. If I just need it as an added ingredient, I'll just buy this stuff.
And of course, the problem is, just like all fruit, and Steve, hammered this into me, the fruit you get in Florida in July is not the same fruit you get in January. And it's the same with citrus fruit. So when you get it from the bottle, it's consistent every time you use it.
Or if you buy it at the supermarket, it's consistent because it was picked and packed at the height of freshness and just thrown into a bag. So that's really my favorite way. And as Jeff's always saying, don't worry about the cost of the ingredients. You're going to get it. I mean, if you're getting $3, $5 for a product, $6, you don't have to worry about the cost of ingredients whatsoever.
If I was going to make this boozy, I would totally grab that rum right there and I would add that to this. This would pair very well. Something else that would probably pair very well would be like triple sec, or you could do a Grand Marnier, but that's a little too pricey for that. So when you work with Italian ices and juices or whichever, it's always best to just mix your sugar with whatever you're making it with. Don't have to, but for two reasons. One, trying to pour sugar down a throat, messy, and it can stick to the stuff. Two, just you don't have to fully dissolve it, just enough to kind of get it wet to pour in there. And then also sugar acts like sandpaper to your blades. You're not going to ruin your blades. You're not going to hurt them. They'll still last you for several years. It's just you could, instead of the life expectancy of, let's say, 5-6 years, now they're probably going to be to the 4 to 5 because the sugar acts like sandpaper. So that's good enough. All right.
So the runtime on this must be fairly long, right?
About 13.
Probably around that.
Heavy sugar, right?
So we have to add sugar to whatever you're making with Italian ice because the machine needs something to freeze. If you're putting in just straight juice, it'll freeze, but it's going to be very crunchy. It's not going to be smooth. So the more sugar you add, the softer and creamier it's going to be. So if you're somewhere and you eat a really creamy Italian ice and it's just the best you've ever had and you go to this place and it was very crunchy and icy, it's just sugar. So if you want it even more creamier than what we're going to taste today, just up it another half a pound of sugar. Or you can just add more juice if you wanted to. Now this is also sugar. So to kind of talk about the subject they were with frozen or fresh fruits, I like frozen all the time. If you have like a blueberry patch that's local, definitely pair with them too because that's great marketing. Blueberry ice cream made with fresh blueberries from Thompson's Blueberry Farm. That's always a great idea too. But the thing with frozen fruits is when they thaw, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm sure we all know, it creates its own natural sweet syrup juice in the bag. I put that in with everything that I make. It's a natural syrup that comes with the berries, and it's just a great added flavor. All right.
But no red dye 40,
Nope.
no polysorbate 80, no preservatives. I mean, it just couldn't be better.
All right, we ready?
Christy mentioned about you don't always have to use water. A good example is an orange Italian ice. Lemon is always going to be an easy to do flavor because it's so tart. But orange is more of a subtle flavor. So if you use bottled orange juice, and I like it with the pulp in it because it makes it more texture, more real, you're going to have a fabulous product. Just a couple of bottles of orange juice, a little extra sugar, and you're good to go. If you want to make it a cream ice, you just take some of your dairy blend, or you could use heavy cream, and our formulas show you the amount to put in. It's not a whole lot, but just adding a little bit of cream makes it a cream ice, which makes it even smoother and creamier, and is kind of fun to do. Jeff's got a friend in South Florida who only sells cream ices and does a huge business on it. Just real easy, real easy.
So you'll notice that I started it right away. I don't need to taste it. I know it's going to taste very good. Why do I know? I really don't, but I just know that it is because I've worked with enough of these ingredients. So it's Italian ice. I really don't have anything else I could probably add, maybe just some more juice or whichever. So just go ahead, put your stuff in, let the machine do its thing, and then just sit back and wait for it to freeze. So the same concept goes with Italian ice, almost as it does with ice cream as far as that cutoff check goes. You don't want it to be a slushy, you don't want it to be runny. And the thing with Italian ice is you might just start to see separation. So if you're not working with the stabilizer, which Steve and I are against, we don't really care for them, but if you're gonna have it in your cabinet for longer than a week, 3 to 5 days, you're gonna need that stabilizer. So the sugars and all of that stuff that I added, once it's in your cabinet, you're gonna notice it start to separate. Sugar's very heavy, it's gonna start to sink, and then your other product's just gonna be on the top. So it's gonna be crunchy and not so good to scoop on the top, and then once you get to the bottom, it'll be super, super, super soft because everything started to separate. Any questions?
If you get it down to about 10 below, it's probably not going to ever separate on you. But the interesting thing about working with sugar and water is I can add any chemical that Dow Chemical has ever made to ice cream, and you'll never taste it. You'll just know it's in there, so I don't like that, but you'll never taste it. But Italian ice or sugar water or sorbets are just so subtle that anything you throw in there is going to make the product sticky and gummy. If you go to the supermarket and buy my customers Marino's Italian ice in little cups, this stuff is absolutely horrible. It's just all chemicals. We're trying to make it fresh. So if you're worried about separation, make it fresher. Yes, it can have a long shelf life, but it's so easy to put together. You're not waiting for the dairy to deliver it. Yeah, I mean, you can make it this morning, and 2 hours from now, you can be selling it because it'll be firmed up enough. Make a fresh product. Rita's, when they first came out, and we've sold thousands of machines to Rita's, it's not what it was. But when it was a great product, they used to advertise that nothing is sold that's longer than 24 hours in our store. That's gone out the window with the franchise. But that was the idea, is you go into an Italian pastry shop and you ask for a lemon ice. In fact, you go in, they've got an old cabinet like you see in the back there, the lid flops open, and you'll see the server in a real Italian bakery. You ask for a lemon ice. The server's in there going 1, 2, 3, you can't see the server's hand. Fills the cup, hands it to you. The server has a little puddle of lemon juice forming in the center because there's no chemicals. And the server's remixing it before they hand it to you. So I don't want a visual display cabinet. You know, the glass ones like Baskin-Robbins, I don't want that for Italian ice. So it's just another little tip. It's a great product to sell.
What do they charge for that?
Oh, it depends on the market. If you're in a very poor neighborhood, you might be getting $1.50. If you're doing the Florida State Fair in Tampa, you might be getting $5.50. A great way to try to price your product is go see what Coke and Pepsi are selling in your neighborhood. They've got people sitting up in Purchase, New York, in Westchester County, just trying to figure out, okay, we're doing a festival in Budapest this weekend. How much can we get for a can of Coke? Or we're doing a art festival in Winter Park, Florida. How much can we charge for a can of Coke? See what they're charging, and it'll tell you what you can charge, what the market will bear. Your product's better, so at least take it up 50 cents, $1, or even more. You can't.
Usually hear about $1 an ounce. It's usually what I do.
How can you prove you're better if you don't cost more? Sometimes. Not true in my machines. But that was the old idea between a Chevy and a Cadillac, a little more chrome and a bigger price.
The biggest thing we saw during the pandemic was everybody that was making or buying their ice cream wholesale was starting to change to make it themselves. It didn't matter what was going on or what was happening, and you needed to make cookies and cream ice cream, you're going to find a package of Oreos somewhere. Whether it's a gas station, a Family Dollar, a Dollar General, you're going to find what you need to make your product. So a lot of those that were purchasing, instead of making it themselves, were facing a lot of issues and problems because they couldn't serve their customers anymore. So making your product has so much more benefits than to buying it wholesale, and you can have a lot of fun, and you can always eat your mistakes, literally.
And everything is about marketing. We really come down to that, is it's good marketing. Well, what is good marketing? Hi, we sell Hershey's ice cream. Or hi, we make all our own fresh ice creams right here in the store. I know you can save 33% right off the top by making your own ice cream because we're all buying dairy. Dairy products are price controlled. So whether you're Haagen-Dazs or your little store, hometown store, they're both buying the dairy for about the same price. So there's a 33% savings right there. However, my customers say, oh no, it's much more like 50% that you're saving because of that sign that says homemade. When you have homemade frozen desserts in your town and you're the ice cream parlor there, a big chain or even one of our customers is very unlikely to move in on you because they know the best they can hope to do is your product's so good. We'll be lucky if we get 50% of her business. And why take 50% of his business when we could go to another town and be the only game in town? So you're bulletproofing yourself from competition by making your own. And when someone like me calls up and says, you know what, you could take these Oreo cookies and add sugar and water to it and make an Oreo cookie Italian ice. Whoa, no one's ever heard of that one before. And it won't be sold in the supermarkets because nobody would even think of it. But you have it. So there's an awful, and it's a lot of fun. You know, this is great fun doing this.
There's a lot of other doors and opportunities that open too with making your own. You can do catering events, you can do weddings, you can do parties, anything like that. Local breweries come to you and ask, can you make an ice cream, a beer ice cream? I've done that. I hate beer, so it was gross. But if you like beer, then it's great stuff. You have wineries that come to you to make wine sorbets. There's just so many other doors that can open with that too. And just being creative and having fun. I think February 1st is Ice Cream for Breakfast Day, so I've been really slammed with that one. How do I make this? How can I do that? Can I put waffles in there?
Mimosa.
You sure can. I've done that. That was really good too. What, this one? Oh. Yeah, the door's open. Yeah. Mimosa is a very good one. Champagne also explodes with sugar too, so be very careful with that. Don't have to make it flat. Just be very slow with it. Be very slow with it.
Pint sales. The idea is there's a hurricane going on right now and only one customer is going to walk in today. We have to get as much money out of that customer as we possibly can. So they came to you to buy an ice cream cone. But on the way out, you have a little chest freezer about this big, and it's filled with pints that you made and froze them rock solid. So as you're checking out, the person checking you out says, oh, by the way, the boss made acai berry sorbet this morning. Would you like to take a couple of pints home? And you go, hey, I'm going home. Sure, why not? I came here for an ice cream cone. So I'm going to buy a pint of acai berry for $12. And I better buy a coconut for Paula, because that's her flavor. And so I'm going to buy two $12 pints of ice cream and take them home. We had over 40,000 stores around the world closed down because of COVID. And we were able to get them opened up and making money by doing pints. The employees couldn't be in the store, but the boss could, the owner. So the owner's making pints. You hire someone a lot younger than me to do social media, and they figure out that you can, text in your order, let them know you're in the parking lot, and the boss or a family member runs it out to them. 22 pints. You'll always buy two. I can't come home and say, hey, Paula, look at the mint chip I bought for myself. And she's going, where's my coconut? You're in the garage sleeping. So it's a great addendum item to sell, is the pints of ice cream. It's just wonderful because they love you so much, they're going to take it home. I'm even talking to restaurants now. Every time we go out to a restaurant, we have a nice big meal, we spend a good amount of money on it, and we're full. And what do? They bring you the dessert menu. Oh, no. I mean, the Boston cream pie, yes, I would love it. I can't take it. But in a couple of hours, I'm going to be hungry for something sweet. So if the server then said, okay, let me go get your bill. Oh, by the way, here's a list, or here's the boss, the chef made coconut berry sorbet today. Would you like to take a pint home? and you figure, hey, I already spent $80 on this restaurant, and I'm heading home. We're heading home. Sure, why not? Good. I'll go get it. It's frozen solid. You can drive for a half hour. It won't melt, and we'll just put it on your bill. It's going on the credit card. It's not real money. So it would be a great opportunity, instead of you trying to sell ice cream, to sell to the restaurant for them to scoop and all that, and the waste, and the employees getting nothing out of it. The server who convinced you to buy a pint of ice cream is getting a larger tip, because now the tip went up $12. So it's something to think about approaching restaurants.
And to kind of touch on pints, we don't have one. So everybody's opened a pint of ice cream and peeled off the lid, right? And the ice cream was stuck to the lid. People think, oh, I got to buy a pint sealing machine. I got to get all fancy with this to keep the ice cream. Freeze it upside down. So once you fill your pint, freeze it upside down. Ben and Jerry's still to this day do that practice. That's how come that lid peels off of that ice cream. They freeze them through these massive conveyors upside down, so it creates a natural seal. And it's really fun, and it looks real clean when you pull that lid off. Unless you're like Steve, who likes to sneak a bite, then there's no smoothing that one over.
It looks full too.
Yes, it does look full.
With the air maybe.
Yeah, it does look full. Unless you're adding like a really cute little topping on the top, then obviously you don't want to freeze it upside down. And that sells really well too. Some customers use clear containers like these, but it has the snap-on lid, not these. So this is kind of popular, I see a lot. Kind of like those Chinese soup containers, those. Either or works for me. I like the plastic ones better just because we all keep containers at home, right? Yeah. So I like those.
But
Yes.
think about it. They walked into your store because they love your product. So why not also have it available to take home? And they don't care what a cone costs. Jeff's already proved that. It doesn't matter what the price is. So as long as I'm there to buy a cone and I don't care what that price is, I'm not going, oh, well, gee, I can buy Breyers at the supermarket cheaper. Yes, you can. But it's not going to be anywhere near the quality. I might as well take, or I want to take a pint, and I always say 2, home with me. What a great business. And that's all because of COVID. So it's always going to be around.
When you make that cook in the freezer, how long can you keep it in the freezer?
For a long time, as Steve talked about earlier, as long as it's like 10 below 0, the colder the better. Cold is a natural preservative, so the colder you make anything, the longer it's going to last.
Well, I'm just saying,
If
you can make up several pints and put it in the freezer to get it sounded like
if you're not moving that flavor, don't make it anymore. So we're pushing 13 and a half minutes. Did you have a question? Okay. Don't go to an auction house. So we're going to do a cutoff check on this Italian ice. We're pushing 14 minutes now, so let's open and close. So you can see how it's kind of what we call peaking, and then there's puddling. So earlier you watched it like shoot out at me. So I think we're okay. I'm going to pull it. And this is all naturally pink from that strawberry.
Did you hear the compressor shut off?
So there's, who asked to overrun? So Italian ice doesn't have overrun. Nope, it has a little bit for expansion just because it's expanding to freeze, but there's no fat. So if you were to take sugar, water, and fruit, stick it in a bowl with the whisk and whisk it super fast, nothing's gonna happen, right? You're still gonna wind up with sugar, water, and fruit in a bowl. If you do that same thing with heavy cream and you do that, because it has fat, it's expanding, now you have homemade whipping cream. So that's the difference with that. So there's really no expansion. What you put in is almost what you're gonna get out. I think it's about like 17% more.
So with a machine that makes 6 to 7 quarts at a time, we're putting in more liquid when we're doing a sugar water product. With the ice cream, we want the expansion.
Coming behind
And
you.
again, with the infinite overrun, we can control the expansion.
Start with the little.
I'll just show you real quick. This is, again, at full speed. Now, Christy kept mentioning 234 RPM. It's maximum RPM. The actual number means absolutely nothing. If you go to Capajani and say, I want a machine that does 234 RPM, they won't even know what you're talking about. Nor could they deliver it because they're only one speed. But you can hear it. Hear that? As I take that down, what's happening is if you take heavy cream and put it into a bowl and stir it with a whisk, it's going to remain heavy cream. You just can't stir fast enough. But if you take heavy cream, put it in a bowl, and take an electric mixer, a KitchenAid mixer, and put it in there, boom, whipped cream. So my invention took the concept of the whipped cream and slowed it down to less and less air. So in order of going down in ice creams, you have homemade ice cream, maximum speed. You have super premium, which is about 2/3 of the speed. You have gelato, which is half speed, and frozen custard, which is 1/3 speed. We're the only people can do that, is us. And the only ones where you can take an entire bag of walnuts and dump it right in the machine. No other machine can do that. They don't want to do it. The beater is too flimsy. They don't want you breaking the machine. We want you to do it all day long. So the infinite overrun really is a big deal. Yes?
Do you slow the machine down to when you open the gate?
Oh, you don't have to. The better you get at it, the less likely you are to do it. But Christy was watching me fill pints for a couple of years, and she looks at the machine says, and comes up with this. Let me take it back up. Okay, you saw the ice cream come out. It came out very fast. We filled that container in seconds. Now I want to fill pints. Well, I'm taking it out of there, and I'm going through this whole procedure of filling pints. Christy goes, why don't we just tap down the speed? Now, it's down to 130, 129 RPMs right now. It's coming out at a slow rate where I can actually fill the pints right there. You still got to be fast about it. You can't fill one and go, oh, I'm going to put the cap on and I'll walk it over there because you're going to deteriorate the ice cream. But you can fill a bunch of them. One, put it up here. One, put it up here. One, put it up here. And then you're done. You shut it off. Then you cap them and turn them upside down in the freezer.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to do. Thank you.
Yeah. And when you get bigger than that, then there is a company that makes a nice packaging machine for about $8,000 called Sawville Automation, and we can send you to talk to Steve Zabel. Yes?
Will the speed of the machine determine how smooth or how crunchy the sorbet is?
No.
Or is it just a sugar?
No, not at all. The only thing that affects the texture of anything is the ingredients. And in sugar water, it's the sugar. Speed has nothing to do with it. Yeah. So I could run, the slower the speed, the little bit longer the freezing time. So when I do if you looked at the actual numbers and I push Italian ice or sorbet, they're both running at full speed. When I do dairy-free, I didn't want the air that was coming in from the coconut as much, so we take it down to a lower speed. And so it says dairy-free, and that's going to spin at a slower amount than ice cream would.
It's questions answered if you want to pull your chair.
Is it really? Gee.
Anybody need to use the restroom real fast before they do questions answered?
And then we're going to break for lunch. Jeff, you want to sit up here and we'll see what we come up with? Some questions? Grab a chair.
I need a lift.
All right, another chance to ask us questions. I'm going to start with a question that I saw.
You're asking questions?
I'm going to answer my own question. And that is, how do I know what size machine to pick? Well, it really comes down to money, as a lot of things in life do, and labor. So if you don't have I could say right off the bat, buy a 24-quart machine. But if you don't have the money for that, you can buy one for half the price and even less with the CB350. So if it's the difference between getting into business this spring or waiting until next a year from now, while you save up more money, go with the smaller machine. You're going to work at longer hours. And labor counts. You have to pay yourself, but you don't have to pay yourself in the first year. You know, you'll pick it up later. I mean, all the profits go to you. So pick the machine that you can afford and will fit into your operation. As I was saying earlier, I'm very big on spending as little of your money as possible. So you don't hear me up here talking about, you got to buy this, and you got to buy that hardening, and you got to buy my dipping cabinet. We don't have a dipping cabinet. You start off with what you can afford, work long, hard hours, and build up the business. Sweat equity, as they used to call it. It works very well in any business whatsoever.
Understanding, of course, that ultimately you will have the 24-quart machine.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer. And when you decide that you've got enough money in the bank to pay for it without no loans or anything, and you decide to buy it, don't think in the back of your mind, well, I'll hold on to the 6-quart machine in case it breaks or whatever. You don't need it. Sell it. And you'll get pretty much what you paid for it, because I'm sure you've all been on eBay and you know the prices of these machines. They don't vary too much. So when it's time to buy the 24, put your machine on eBay. It'll last about 15 minutes. And then take that money and buy your 24.
Yes.
From a support standpoint, let's say you go out, or I go out and buy a used the middle one, 350. You still have the support. I understand the warranty may not be there, but the support from Emery.
Yes, the warranty won't be there, but yes, we'll treat you just like any other customer, because I play long ball. I know that if you start with a CB350, you're going to come back and buy a 24, and then later on, you're going to be so big you'll be running 3 24s and buying a 44 for the bulk flavor. So it's always made sense to me. And my competition, they're going to write up a purchase order that's going to be $100,000 of putting in everything that they think they can sell you. We're not going to do that. If you start with a CB350 and you buy it used, you'll get still 7-day-a-week access to me, and emails and phone, and I'll answer your questions no matter what, because it makes good business sense. However, if we're talking about business sense, you have to look at your business. When I was growing up in New York and working out of the Bronx, I was traveling all over New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and I was a salesman. I'm still a salesman. My tax return says salesman, even though I'm the president. But my job was go out and talk to people. We didn't have the internet. You couldn't sell anything over a telephone. And so we would actually go out, and I'd make 7 or 8 sales calls a day all around the tri-state area. So in order to do that, one of my friends, Harvey Richards, everybody knew Harvey because Harvey drove a Rolls Royce. And it became his trademark that he drove a Rolls Royce. I'm driving a Volkswagen Super Beetle with the passenger seat taken out so that I can put a countertop slush machine in there with a 100-foot long cord and demonstrate to pizza parlors. The point was, I didn't need a very expensive car to go call on you and sell a machine. My job was to sell you machines. I just needed good, reliable transportation. Now, you open up an ice cream parlor or an Italian ice business, your job is to sell the product that you have. If you buy someone else's machine, and it may have started great at Emery Thompson, but we don't know how it was treated after that. We don't know if they knocked it off the table and it fell onto the ground and it's got a small continuing leak that they keep putting Freon into it. We don't know what's wrong with it because they're in 142 countries. They're all over the place. But when I'm talking to young people, it kind of amazes me sometimes that they have the hats all picked out. They have the signs all set up. They have the flavors ready to go. And then one day they say, oh, we have to sell a product. Let's go down to Home Depot and buy an Emery Thompson batch freezer. It doesn't work that way. We're going to need 5 weeks faster on the CB350s. So the most important thing to me in my life as a salesman was my car. to get from point A to point B. The most important thing in your life is the ability to make a product. And I guarantee you, used machines that have a problem don't break down on January 20th. They break down on July 3rd when they're under the most stress. And then you call up and say, oh my gosh, I don't have any product. There's no competitors who are going to sell to me. They're all busy selling their product. Send over a machine. Yeah, well, good. We can get you one the week after Labor Day because we had to put you in our production cycle. So whether it's an Emery Thompson batch freezer or if it's a dipping cabinet, I can buy a used dipping cabinet because I have two. So if one goes down, I've got another. I even have a little device where I can turn a chest freezer into a dipping cabinet. So look at what you buy as in order of importance. And if it's critical to the existence of your business and without it, your business will go out of business, that's when you decide, am I going to buy this used bargain that I don't know anything about? People will drive 1,200 miles to buy a used Emery Thompson. Most of the time they'll just have it shipped, but they haven't even looked at it. My nephew once bought a Mercedes from Chicago that was out on Long Island. What could go wrong? It's a Mercedes. He's 22 years old. How could I go wrong with a Mercedes? Well, it was a reason it was for sale. I mean, the transmission was dropping out. So just keep that in mind. But to answer your question specifically, we will support you 100% as if you're a brand new customer. That's the way I do business.
And how do you guys finance the machines? Or do you?
We do. We have a private financing company that we use, and we also use U.S. Bank. I like both of them. It depends on what your situation is, but that's how they're financed. It's called a lease, but you own it from day one. You're going to be responsible for all the payments. But it's a lease instead of an outright loan. It's got better terms when it comes to your taxes.
So if you buy a new machine and something, God forbid, ever goes wrong with it, we live in a very remote area, so it's hard to get anything out there. So how does that work?
Remote to me is Bangladesh.
Okay.
We're all over the world. The first thing you do, if something goes wrong, we've been building the same. It's 6 models. And we've been building machines for 122 years. We don't do deep fat fryers. We don't do pizza ovens. We do batch freezers. We know our own machines better than anybody in the world. And when you've got over 40,000 businesses, you've heard everything that there is. So that's why I take calls on weekends, because if I can, what is a crisis to you, I'm on my second batch and my machine just stopped and it won't restart. Anybody else is going to tell you to call back Monday and we'll send out a repairman. I'm going to ask you a simple question. What were you making? What'd you make first? Well, we made lemon ice. Okay, and that worked great? Good. And what did you make second? We made cherry ice. Okay, cherry ice is still in the machine? Yeah, taste it. Tell me what it tastes like. You taste it and you go, oh, Steve, it's awful. It tastes like cherry juice and water. I know, you left the sugar out of it. That's what was wrong. It froze up solid. Solution, put in some warm water, rinse it out, start over. Or you're on your third batch and I will always ask you, when did it last run correctly? And you'll say, oh, it ran yesterday perfectly, but it's not running today. And you got to the third batch. Is the front door, that beautiful metal door, is that all frosted up? Oh yeah, I've never seen so much frost on it. You have one of the 2 scraper plastic blades in backwards, so it's not scraping properly. Flip it. That didn't cost you anything but a phone call or an email. This is the stuff that we do.
Issues you hear.
7 days a week. Yeah. And we can also handle, it's broke. Well, what's broke about it? Well, it doesn't work. Okay, is it plugged in?
There's a lady in St. Simons Island, Georgia, you should send a check to, because she's said y'all the best company she's ever used.
Well, thank you. That's
Her
what
machine is like she said it's bulletproof, is what she said.
it really is.
That's why we're here.
Oh, good.
Just a lady told me.
Yes.
What is your life expectancy and what is your warranty?
The life expectancy of the machine, and you won't believe it until you've run it that long, and hopefully you won't, 40 years.
Wow.
That's the average lifespan of an Emery Thompson. I get lots of calls from machines from the early 80s ordering parts. They say, do you have these parts? I go, yes, we do.
Probably why she said that.
Yeah.
Like you said.
And the warranty is 1 year parts and 90 days labor, but it's lifetime free technical support. So you can get hold of us 7 days a week. I work 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Because I'm crazy. I love it. As one of my friends said 10 years ago, they said, when are you going to retire? I said, what, move to Florida? I'm already here.
I'm already here.
Well, I've got a boat, so I take phone calls on the boat.
Yeah.
So if you have a need to produce 25 gallons a day, would the 350 work?
Sure, it's
What's the
making
question?
nine gallons an hour.
What's the question?
25 gallons of ice cream a day.
That's nothing.
That is nothing. It's
That's
going to make
nothing.
9 gallons an hour. So, 27,
Which machine?
the countertop one. So that's all the machine you need. And if you want to double the production and you don't want to do the work, hire someone else to come in and make it. You put your formula on a 3x5 file card. We have an officer in here, so I'll be careful what I say about police officers, but you hire a cop, you give them their 3x5 file card, it's their mission, they're going to follow that recipe explicitly, and what everybody worries about, they're going to steal my formulas. Well, number one, you called up here saying, I don't know anything about making ice cream except that I like to eat it, and then now you're Chef Beard, and you don't want to share your formula. They're going to put in their 23 years and retire to Hilton Head. They're not going to steal your formulas. Hilton Head's got to be the safest place on earth. It's all police. But they're not going to steal your formulas. Teach someone how to do it because now you can sleep through the night. You're going to be pretty old or pretty wealthy before you can afford to have security that you're going to have on your store, overnight. I mean, what could be better than have a fireman in your store all night? If it catches fire, he knows who to call. You can go to the bathroom.
That being said, you're going to make your own ice cream.
Yep.
You're not going to hire a kid to make ice cream
No.
or a fireman or whatever.
No.
You're going to
Okay.
make your own ice cream. You're going to make it till you fall on the face because this is what your whole life is now. Your whole life is making that ice cream and smiling at people in your store. And I wouldn't turn it over because there are nuances in making your ice cream. Yes, it's a 3x5 file card. And yes, I give you 100 recipes in my kit, all on 3x5 file cards. But you're the one who's going to interpret that. Don't forget, there's a whole world out there. Certain people like ice creams sweeter, less sweet. Certain cultures like them more flavorful. Certain cultures like them elitist, less flavor, more subdued. You're going to determine that, and you're going to translate that into those recipe cards, and you will make the ice cream. Did you notice I always taste it before I turn it on? That's because at that point I can still adjust it. Now you hire a kid to make ice cream for you, they're not doing that. They're going by the card, they're putting it in, turning it on. They don't even taste it at the end. It is what it is. You come in the next day and say, not quite as sweet as I like it. Now you got to throw out 6 quarts of ice cream or 12 quarts of ice cream. So I disagree with that you're going to make the ice cream. You're going to determine what it should taste like. You'll adapt the recipe to that. You'll make it yours.
We're both right. Who else? Yes.
Jeff, you've been in the business a long time. Looking back, is there anything different you would have done when you started out?
Yes, there are 2 things that have plagued me in every single store that's had my arm in opening. Plumbing and electricity. Those 2 things are killers. I can do, I buy an Emery, they deliver it, it's done, no problem. I get my 3-bay sink, no problem. I have my freezers, everything's easy. But the plumbing and the electric, that's the killer. In the Daytona store, we had to run a line from what we set up as the kitchen, a PVC line, 75 feet out to where it goes out, because there was nothing there. Well, the plumbers who did that screwed it up. It took months. The electrician, you sold me a single-phase machine.
Okay.
Because I had, three-phase.
Three-phase.
Because I had three-phase in this building, which is desirable but unusual. And I had to have the electrician run three-phase from the box all the way to the back of the store. And I would say that plumbing and electric, aside from the cost, which was stupid, they delayed the opening of my store for easy 4 months, electric and plumbing. So if I had to do, and I'm going to open another store, the next store, I'll talk to the best electrician and the best plumber. And before we shake hands, I'll make sure that he knows my deadlines and he's capable of doing the jobs. So, Albert, I would say those are the things. Nothing else.
Right.
Everything else was fine in all the stores, but just that, electrician and plumbing.
So have them check everything out before.
Yes. Come, take a look at everything, give me an estimate, give me a time estimate. It's not the money. You know, the money is the money, but it's the time. Because every day that you don't open, every day is costing you a lot of money, a lot of money. Yes?
Storefront versus mobile.
Well, that's a whole different philosophy.
Yeah.
It's really what you want. I want a store. You know why? I was talking to Albert took my course, and
Great course.
what?
This is a great course.
Oh, thanks. I want a store that ice cream, yeah, we sell ice cream, but it's a hangout. That's what I want. Because I'm going to be there all the time, and I like to see the people. I do a little magic, so I like to walk around doing a little magic. And what I like most of all is when I walk around, that's the owner. That's the owner. I like that. You know, it's immature of me, but I like it. A lot of my students have opened up mobile. As a matter of fact, the people that, we were talking about this, the people that I sold my first store to, they went ahead and opened up several more stores, and they decked out an amazingly beautiful van that they go and do events and they sell ice cream. And it's gorgeous. They had it wrapped in a tie-dye, you know, the whole thing. It's unbelievable. Now, that's what they hired somebody, and he prefers doing that rather than being put in a store. It really, it's your philosophy. What would you enjoy? Would you enjoy being mobile?
I thought being mobile gave me more options, like local events, stuff like that, versus being able to like be a vendor at events. However, I ran into a lot of problems with like the health department. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through being mobile.
Oh, they go up and down that mobile van or whatever. Now, what I did, I had a store, my first store, and we advertised that we would do events on the weekends or during the week, but mostly on the weekends. And I bought a 4x8. I bought a 4x8 trailer, and I put my freezer, my chest freezer, on wheels. And what we did was, it was all you can eat at the event, and before, they didn't give us any money. Before the event, we asked how many people they're expecting, and they said 50. So it was $6 a person, which we collected beforehand, and then we went there and it was all you can eat. Trust me, we didn't lose a penny on this. It was all you can eat, and we brought 4 flavors, 2 adult flavors, 2 regular flavors, in a chest freezer. I would drive it to the affair, unload, take the thing on the trailer down, wheel the chest freezer in, and 2 girls would be there for the length of the event, and they would scoop, spoon, that, no money, because we were already paid. And we got $6 a person, all you can eat. And boy, when I told people, all you can eat, $6 a person, they freaked out. They said, you're kidding, all they can eat? All you can eat, all you can eat.
And
There's
you
a
never run out of product?
No, because we never went more than 15 miles or whatever, and if the girls saw we were running out, a phone call to the store, we replenished them, which did happen a few times. But what a moneymaker this was. We made a lot of money with this.
There's a fatal flaw with a truck.
Yes.
There's a fatal flaw with a truck that nobody notices. Of the 3 ways of getting into business, I love Jeff's last one. I do that a lot, where I have people have a trailer and they're making ices or ice cream and they're going out and doing fairs and festivals. You spend December, January looking at all the festivals for 100 miles around, and you start picking which ones you want so that you know on July 5th or August 9th where you're going to be. You can plan your whole time like that. It costs very little money. Stores are very expensive, very high rent. Hopefully that's coming down. But I do a lot of trucks, mostly out west. There is a fatal flaw in trucks, at least in Florida, and we have a second location over in Jupiter, Florida, Palm Beach. And we had the falafel truck, and we had the ice cream truck and the hot dog truck. And the owners of the restaurants in this pricey neighborhood really got annoyed because these trucks were stealing their business. They're parked out there, or they're driving around, and there's only so many dollars for food, and you're taking away my food dollars. Instead of them coming into my restaurant, they're coming to your truck, which might be better food than what I'm serving. So what the city fathers did is they said, we are banning trucks except for 1 weekend a month where you can all come to the fairgrounds here and you can set up. And so we have 50 or 40 or so trucks on a Saturday and Sunday, one weekend a month. It's kind of fun for us, the food buyers, because there's so much to choose from. But from you, what do you do with the other 3 weeks? You have to hope that you can find another town in Florida that's going to let you in. I'll let you talk.
Okay.
But you've got to check that out, or what are the restrictions? If you're going to go into Palm Beach or Jupiter, what are the restrictions? If you're going to go into Boynton Beach, or if you're going to go over to St. Pete, or if you're going to go up to Jacksonville, you better know in advance that you have a place that you can sell the product, because they're going to, and it's not going to get better. The restaurateurs are paying huge amounts of taxes for their fixed building. If you had a fixed ice cream parlor, you would be screaming against trucks. So keep that in mind. Just because you own a truck doesn't mean you can park in front of my house.
The way it works with the mobile food trucks, if you're planning on doing fairs, festivals, events, then they require you to book 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
Now what you're going to do is you're going to make this your way of life. You're going to get the map out, the map of the East Coast, say, or your state or whatever, and they make a publication which lists all the events that are going to take place, and you'll map it out. But don't forget, you're paying for it 6 months in advance. If the rains come, or if the snows come, you're out of it. You don't get your money back, you're done. But it's a way of life. And it's a hard way of life because you're on the road. You're not getting up in your bed, having your breakfast, going to your store. I'm a big fan of the store, supplementing with a mobile business, which was incredibly fruitful. But the on the road is a tough one. It's not just, let's go do the race week in Alabama, whatever.
Yeah.
You can't just do that. You have to book
plan it.
way in advance, and you have to pay for it way in advance.
And if you pay, if you sign up and it's $200 to do Model Airplane Festival, and 200 people come to it, you only have this one weekend. It's kind of like what they say about selling hotel tickets, hotel rooms. Once that date passes, you can't get
And
that
it's
money
more,
back.
it's more like 1,200
Right, but if
for a
it's
3-day
200
event.
If it's 200 and there's 300 people there, you're not going to sell very much. If it's 1,200 and there's 10,000 people, you're going to make over $1,000 an hour easily. So you pick the ones that you can afford to do. And yes, you are taking a risk that, I haven't seen many summers where it rains every single weekend. But the first year I started working, it rained from April through June.
And temperature.
It can happen.
Sure.
It can happen, but it's a risk you take. But your overall cost is so low. You're making the product in the garage, you're putting it in the cart, and you're driving there, and you're young, and you don't mind doing the long
And the
hours.
last thing that you have to consider is that every person you deal with, you're not going to see him again. There is no, oh, that's Alice selling me her great ice cream.
Right.
A store is from here. It's very personal, and you're going to love it. I mean, I opened up 57 square feet in the back room of a gym. Back room of a gym, no windows, a door leading out to a sweaty, smelly music gym. That's how I started. But if your product, and your product will be unbelievable, the word will spread like a forest fire. No, not to mention that. But the word will spread like crazy.
Flag the tape.
And that becomes home. Whatever you work, I mean, our Daytona store is open 7 days from 1 o'clock to 10 o'clock. But it's okay because there's the owner.
Yeah. We're going to break for lunch.
Okay.
Are you all ready?
We're going to pass this around, and anybody... Oh, but I thought only people from Georgia did that.
I'm from South Carolina.
Well, that counts.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Okay, we ready? What's that? Oh, the pins. Okay, we're going to make something called Very Berry. Now, here's another instance how I discovered this flavor. I was in a Hispanic market. By the way, go to Hispanic markets. They got great sweets there. I was in a Hispanic market, and I saw guava. Guava. I don't know what guava. It could have been an elephant's tail for all I know. Guava. So I bought it, of course, and I took it home, and it was in a can, like a big sardine can, a flat can, guava. So I opened it up, and there's this jellied brown concoction in there. And I guess I'll continue with this, even though it's detrimental to the flavor. So I dumped it on a plate, and the consistency is like jellied stuff. You know this, right? And I tasted it. And although it didn't knock me out with, wow, this is great, it had a unique flavor, something that I had never tasted. It's not like strawberry, raspberry, boysenberry. It's not like that. It's very different. So I said, well, with a little sweetener, this could be a good flavor, as long as we don't call it guava, because nobody's buying guava ice cream in my store. So I played around with it and came up with something where I included, I don't want to say American berries, but American berries to it, and then it became a fruity thing, and it was good. Well, after I committed to making that today, I went to 3 different stores and couldn't find the guava. I went to 2 Walmarts and a Publix, and I couldn't find guava. So the closest thing I found was this, which is guava nectar. 1 second. And it is pure guava nectar. So we're going to give it a shot. Yes, sir.
Next time you go to the frozen section, they have the guava pulp frozen.
Now, you know what would happen if I walked into a store and said, do you have guava pulp?
Just go to the frozen section.
I'd be hauled out of there like that. You have guava pulp? Okay, you, in the back. So we'll try it. I gave it the sniff test, and it's good. And as you know, as you can see by the front, it's that kind of fruit. It looks like a mini watermelon type fruit. Doesn't taste anything like that. So by combining this with other berries, a berry medley, and some brown sugar. Now, we were going to make a variegate, but I decided not to because I'm going to put this in with it. This is cherry pie filling. I'm going to put it in with the flavor because it has to have, all my ice creams have to have a lot of flavor, be pretty sweet and creamy. So we'll see. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I look forward to it, right?
What?
I look forward to it.
You look forward to it?
Yes.
That doesn't come into question category.
No, he said right.
I'm just saying that
He said
guava-
right. It was a question.
Guava is a great standalone flavor by itself. Pick up the tree, great Caribbean, and I guess African flavor. That's why you found it in the Hispanic. And the ice cream is
Made out of just guava?
just guava.
Well, let me say this. There are so many different sects and types of people who come from different parts of the world that one person's meat is another man's poison. Now, if you go to Hawaii and taste their fruits there, some people don't like them at all. And it's the same with those fruits. And when I tasted guava, I couldn't eat guava. Now, with those cans, the jellied, what do? Put on a bread or?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Jelly.
You can do a pastry, those empanadas.
Fillings, yeah.
Fillings, as a filling, put that. with-
Just that, or do you have to sweeten it?
With cheese, that and cheese, or just that as a pastry.
You mean like a cream cheese?
Yes,
Yeah.
or just a yellow, either American cheese or a, what's the one they use for tacos, the cheddar.
If you go to Miami, anywhere down South Florida, guava, big hit.
But I want, so you put it on like bread, toast, or
Bread, yeah.
just by itself,
Or
right?
Crackers.
Yes.
Right out of that tin?
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you hear that?
My neighbor had guava paste, and she used to cut it up and then slices with cheese and crackers. Amazing.
Unbelievable. Well, we'll try. So then maybe we don't have to add the cherry pie. We'll add it. Well, there's the Americanized ice cream. Americanized. So, oh well, we'll see.
Whatever it works.
Yeah. You want to help me with this here?
Yeah.
We're going to put 5 or 6 in there, which is about there. Okay?
1, 2.
Good. All right. Now, when you first open your store or you first start to make ice cream, you're going to make a few mistakes. One of the mistakes you'll make is the bladder, you'll drop it. Now, when you drop the bladder, they explode. And now, I'm not kidding here, it's 4 to 6 hours to clean it up. And that's it. And you'll do it once, just once. The other thing you'll do is you'll get your bladder ready, you'll take the top off, you'll do this, and you'll do this, and you forgot to close it. And it comes shooting out. And you'll do that probably twice. So when it happens to you, just remember that I told you. Okay, we're going to put 5 quarts into the machine.
Say that again.
5 quarts.
Oh, thank you.
Who said say it again?
He was talking,
The
and I couldn't hear you.
apron receiver?
Talking, and I couldn't hear you because he was over here making.
Oh, boy.
I'm bad about
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. Okay, so here we go. Now, another thing I always do is I always put a container under there. Just a habit, but it's going to go there anyway. You might as well do it in the beginning. So there you go. Wow, Christy cleaned up my mess. Okay, here we go. Ah, well, I don't hear any snickering now. All right, so now we have that, a little vanilla. We have 5 quarts of mix, so 5 ounces of vanilla. And guava, baby, guava nectar. Guava nectar. Hey, you're eating it, not me. Guava nectar. Oh, look at that. It's citrusy looking. Huh. That's the right color, right? I shook it. Huh. How do they get guava nectar? They squeeze the guavas?
Yes, they sweet talk it.
Now, by the way, is this guava nectar, is that common as a drink? Guava nectar, or you never saw it before?
Juice is. Yes. Guava juice is.
Okay, well, that's what we got here, the juice, guava nectar. It even says here, nectar de guavara.
How many ounces is in that?
33.
33.
About a quart. Okay, okay, so now we have berries. So I bought this, which is a berry medley. It's blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. And that's it in there. So, and as Christy said, what we get is we get a little juice out of it because it drips in here. Oh boy, this is, you see what that is? It's strawberries, blueberries, raspberries.
How many ounce package is it?
Oh, you go right along with the apron, don't you? 16 ounces, 1 pound. All right, so what we can do is we can fire it up. And then we can add the remainder of our ingredients so it'll blend. All right. And now we have this. We should add it, right? Okay. Oh. The reason I have this, as we were talking at lunch, my original flavors for today included cherry cheesecake ice cream, which is why I made the springform pans to make cherry cheesecake ice cream cake. And I thought that would be great. And then at the last minute, I went over the videos that we've had for this show, and I saw that I made it already. So I thought, let's come up with something different. That's the reason. So we'll add this. We'll add this to this. Hey, apron man, you going to ask how many in the can? It is it's a 21-ounce can. And now we need some brown sugar.
How much brown sugar?
Well, I'm going to tell you how much brown sugar. 1/4 pound. Double bagged, of course. 1/4 pound. This is too much, right?
I don't think that's turned on.
I used it for sugar.
It is just under half a pound. So we need half of this, right? And then we'll taste it, and if we have to make it a little sweeter, we can always do that. So we'll put this in there.
Spoiler alert, he's gonna put in half and then say, oh, what the heck, let's throw it all.
No, 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 no.
It's not wrong.
We'll put in half of this. What the? Okay, now we can adjust it to taste.
How'd you do on the scale? Let's throw it on the scale and see what's up. See how clear your eye is.
Huh? 26.
All right, we'll give it to you.
You thought I was going to be way off, didn't
Yes,
you?
absolutely.
Okay, a little tasterooski. By the way, great spoons he gets, aren't they? You hate those crummy white plastic ones that bend and stuff. No, he guys good spoons. Good deal, Christy.
Frozen Solutions is the company that makes those spoons. That's also the cups that are in front of you, and that same spoon that's in that cup. The phone number is on there. Mitch Kleinman, super great guy, and their turnaround is pretty quick.
My taste tells me we need more brown sugar.
My sister.
So we'll add a little more, and we'll see what happens.
Got some rum over here.
Huh?
Got some rum over here.
We're at a half pound.
But it's coconut rum. Oh, that's still a fruit. Should we take a vote?
Let me taste this first.
What was the vote question?
Comes the rum in.
I have to make mint in this one. You got
What happened?
you got cherry on it.
Why does that one have two little doors, has a?
It's
This one just has one.
the grate on top, you mean? It's legal. It's so that you don't, it's the legal
You don't put
profession.
your hand in
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
so
a
you don't
UL
stick your hand in
requirement.
there.
But this one doesn't have it, does it?
No, they want you to stick your hand, no. No,
If you add that rum, it's going to alter everything.
how come this doesn't have a protective grate?
Because it's a UL requirement for that.
Why? Why not for this?
Ask UL.
It's a legal thing, it's just BS.
I was curious.
I mean, it's,
That one can only manually, but that one will take it off.
yeah, yeah. The mangle one. Which machine you want? I think I'll have the mangle one. Okay, so we're ready, or should I add it? Your call.
When in doubt, do without.
Ooh.
I'm only saying no because it'll taste like coconut if you do. And right now, it tastes like a very berry, like what you're calling it.
Okay.
If you add the rum, it's going to kick in that coconut.
Enough said.
Okay.
I'm with you.
But
Okay.
we could add a floater, right?
Oh, a floater,
Yeah.
a floater. Yes, sir.
I like you.
Are you always creating new flavors, or do you stick to?
No, it's part of the fun. Sometimes when I'm in a store and I see a flavor of something, I try to translate into ice cream. And that's all, and you'll do the same thing. Because if I told you, what's your first name?
Manny.
Manny? Yeah. If I told you, Manny, that you're going to have a store and these are your 16 flavors that you're going to sell, that's it, these are your 16, how long would you be happy for? 3 months, 2 months? Because part of the joy of this business is ice cream flavors, you know, coming up with stuff. I did a whole class once, and it's in my class, how to develop a recipe. Because the pina colada, 7 ingredients. This one, you know, or whatever we make, how do you come up with it? And there's a method to it, because you have to be able to do it the same way every time. And I take a 1 quart container, and I put it on my work table with any ingredients that I think I'm going to use. No sizes yet. And I fill this up halfway with mix so that I have 16 ounces, 1/2 quart, and I write it down. Now let's pick a flavor. Chocolate chip? No, that doesn't work. That's 2 things, chocolate and ice cream. Well, okay, let's say one of the ones we did. We'll make it simple. The English toffee or the caramel crunch if we add the other. So let's say we want to make that and we don't know how much to add. So we have 1/2 quart. Now don't forget, I'm on this machine here, which is 10 quarts. So 1/2 quart is 1 watt of my whole thing. It's 1/20th, right? Because there's 10 quarts, this is half. So whatever I write as my recipe, I'm going to multiply by 20. And it'll be the same every time. So we take the dulce de leche, we open up a can, and we take, let's say, 4 tablespoons, and we put it in here, mix it up, and taste it. Well, it needs more dulce de leche. So then you add more. When you get it to what you want, and then you have, what else did we add? Vanilla, which is standard. So when you get the proportions that you want, and it's written down here, you multiply everything by 20. This way it's the same every time. Whatever you're making, you do it that way. 1/2 quart. You don't want to do more, because then if it's a flop, you're throwing out a lot of stuff. So you do a 1/2 quart with mix, and then you take your, but you got to write it down. And you write down 4 tablespoons. Taste it, no good. You cross out 4 tablespoons. You put in 16 ounces. Taste it, a little more. And eventually, whatever you get to, we had, how much did we have? We had 36 ounces. So that would be, whatever, I'm no good with math, but whatever it came to, multiplied times 20 came to 36 ounces. So then you've got your formula. And it'll work every time. The only thing I would tell you to do is taste it right before you commit to the freezing part, because, you know, we're using a small sample. It may need more or less of something. Now, what happens if it needs less? What do?
You add more mix.
Add more mix. That's how you can lessen the strength of anything in there. And then once you add more mix, everything else has to be adjusted. It sounds hard, but it's not. It really isn't. And don't forget, when you do it this way, you're the one tasting it. You're the one making the decision. So it'll be your flavor, not mine. It'll be your flavor. And feedback from your customers will solidify your choices. When they say, wow, that's unbelievable, you hit it. If they don't buy it, you didn't hit it. One of my favorite things is, what's that clear licorice liquor? Anisette? I love it. I used to get blitzed on this stuff. I would go to a sushi bar which I enjoy, and I would drink glass after glass of this stuff. What's the name brand of it? The licorice flavored liqueur. Sambuca. Sambuca. I would get blitzed on Sambuca, and I loved it. So I said, hey, why not Sambuca ice cream? If I love it so much, got to be a winner. So I did my thing, and I came out with unbelievable Sambuca ice cream. It was so good, it was ridiculous. And I put it on the board, and I made a batch, and I sold none. None. Nobody wanted it. It was so good. So I ate as much as I could, and the rest went down the drain. Yes?
So when you try new flavor, how much you just make one mix? Like 5 of that new flavor mix?
No, if you're happy with it, go for it.
Yeah, but if you don't sell it.
Well, hopefully you're not going to make Sambuca. Spoonsies? You're going to try it? Huh?
You do a flavor of
You
the
do?
week.
Well, that's good. That's
Every
what it's all
salesman
about.
wants a
I'm
reason
not
to
a
come back
fan.
and see you. I'm a salesman.
Okay, we
So
ready?
you're the salesman. You want them to come back and see what's new. So you drop a flavor out and have a flavor of the week. Even better, hire someone young who's great on social media, as I mentioned earlier, to advertise that flavor of the week. This weekend, Friday night, 8 o'clock, we'll be introducing our flavor of the week.
Sambuca.
Maybe not. Guava. Guava. And it's
You
a
ready
great
over
way to
there?
bring people back in. It's terrific. And do some of them seasonal, like up in New Jersey. We have Jersey peaches in September. They're early September. They're only good for about 2 weeks. They're the best in the world. So you have peach ice cream in those 2 weeks in September, and then you take it off the menu. Everybody goes, where's the peach ice cream? I'm sorry, peaches are out of season. Come back next year. They'll be lined up. You can't do that with strawberry. You always have to have strawberry. But peaches or something exotic that you wouldn't normally have, just have it for a limited time. I used to wait for some of the Carvel flavors, soft ice cream flavors up in New York. Tom Carvel would have them at certain times of the year. Great. Yeah.
It's like pumpkin spice donuts at Dunkin' Donuts.
There you go. Yeah, or the same thing with the Starbucks coffee. Yeah, something to bring people back in. It's a great idea.
Yeah, by having it for only like a limited amount of time, it just makes them want it even more.
Yes.
When it comes up next time. So,
It makes them really want it more, and someone like me is going to go in and buy up all the inventory of that flavor, and then I'll have it. Yes.
So is 16 flavors, is that the standard to start with?
No, no.
No, it's whatever you want. I'm doing such small stores, 900 square feet, that I'm down to 12 flavors.
I started with 12. And now we're at
5 liters,
about
which is a little more than
50.
5
Yeah.
But do you have 50
You
at one
can't
time?
control yourself.
Do you have 50 all at one time?
Yeah,
Shit.
I know.
Excuse me.
You can't control yourself because I'm telling you, when you make your first batch of ice cream, you're gonna freak out. You've all eaten ice cream your whole life. That's why you're sitting here. And when you taste your first batch of ice cream, you're gonna freak. It's so good.
Jeff, do you have them all in dipping cabinets, or are they?
I'm not a believer in dipping cabinets. I use freezers. Always have.
Board, just the board.
Oh, the board, right up there. And they're just handmade. I make them on the computer. You know, it's my artistic side.
And if you're like me, you're gonna go into an ice cream store, you're gonna see all those pretty flavors in that dipping cabinet, and I'm gonna get the vanilla every single time.
Amen.
Try it.
Amen.
Amen.
No, I can judge just by looking at it. When I look in their dipping cabinets and see what it looks like and then who takes care of it and the integrity of it.
Tom Carvel up in New York used to say he would send his, as he called them, his spies. I send my spies in and I tell them to try the vanilla because vanilla is the least expensive, was the least expensive product to make. And his exact words were, if they're cheating on the vanilla, you can be darn sure they're cheating on the maple walnut. So he wasn't far off because it does give you an idea of the quality of the rest of the store. I mean, I hate buying a commercial ice cream that you taste it and you can't even tell it's vanilla because it's so bland. Vanilla should go wow. It should really jump at you.
And
That's
now
why,
they have 7 different vanillas. They have classic vanilla, they have French vanilla, they have, no, I mean plain vanilla. They have old-fashioned vanilla, they have vanilla custard.
yeah,
A lot of honey vanilla we make.
yep. That's good. That's very good.
I'm a mess today.
Yeah, you are.
You know that? I'm a mess today. Jeez.
A box of mix is 2 bags. So it's about, I think the average right now is about $14 a gallon. But remember, every gallon is going to make you 2 gallons of ice cream. So your $14 gallon is costing you $7.
Okay.
Other questions? Nobody yet? You're too busy eating ice cream.
Your recipe. So I've been working again with the 1 quart, same thing, right? Is there ever an exception to multiplying it by 20? Like, are you always like mint extract? Is there any time that I know you're tasting it, but are you ever going too far over, or you're just multiplying your recipe every time?
Yes.
I don't follow.
Like if a flavor.
Right. So like if I'm making it in 1 quart, right? You said times it by
Okay.
20. It's
10.
Okay.
Or 10. Does it ever become too much? So if I did, we'll say a half a teaspoon of mint extract. So I'm timesing that by.
Generally not, because we always err on the side of caution.
Okay.
So we're always going to underdo it. When you make it, you're not going to dump everything in and see if it's good. You're going to do little by little by little till you get it what you want.
Okay.
So really, that doesn't come into play too much.
Well, then the other thing too, isn't a lot of flavors develop over a day or two also?
Yes.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
Let me ask.
He is so
Let me ask you a
wrong.
question. This will solve the whole
You're
thing.
so wrong.
When you eat ice cream, when you go to the store and buy a container of ice cream, what do? You eat the part that's melted around the edges first, don't you? Because that has the most flavor.
Because
That's where
the entire thing has bloomed overnight. Ice cream blooms
It
overnight.
doesn't bloom.
The International Dairy Association says this.
It
that
gets-
ice cream enhances
Oh, well, they can't be
over
wrong.
24. No, they can't be
Well,
wrong.
it's like Italian food, and when you warm it up.
better
the next
tomorrow.
day, and the next day, every day it gets
Absolutely.
better.
Jeff's been saying
Yeah,
this
but
for
ice
years, and Jeff's
cream,
been wrong
if
for
you
all
let
these
it
years.
bloom the next day and make it really colder doesn't make it taste any better. It makes it taste less.
Freezes the
It
taste
wasn't about that. My
The
time, it's a time thing. Some things get.
Yeah, the answer,
Tasty.
the simple answer is it blooms, it gets stronger. So when I tell people that taste my vanilla, they say it's good, but maybe you should add a little more vanilla. I say wait till tomorrow and try it. It will be better. It makes a
What
big
happened to the
difference.
ice cream?
He and I, Jeff and I have
Oh.
argued over this for years.
Oh,
Anybody else? Yes.
Circling back to Italian ice, when you have your dipping cabinet, I know that it was said at this.
yeah, okay.
3 to 5 days without any chemicals in it at serving temperature.
Okay, so are you?
Scooping, 16.
Right, otherwise it's -10?
Yeah, have you seen my Inkbird? There it is. The colder it is, the colder you can store anything, the longer it's going to last. This
you think
goes
I
to
can leave
25
this?
below zero. This is gonna, if you put beef in there, it would last for 6 months. If you put it at 10 below, it's going to last for 6 weeks. So the colder you can go. This is a great little invention. I don't sell it because it's made in China, and I won't sell anything made in China. This is called an ink bird. INK, like in pen, and bird is in tweet tweet. The ink bird. This has saved my customers so much money. If you want to go in the Italian ice business, you've got these $3,000 serving cabinets that are set for ice cream, 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Maybe you can set them up to 9. Maybe you can set them down to 0. But that's their range, unless you were to change, have someone independently change the thermostat on it. So we're doing Italian ices. We want 16. And I could go out and buy a $3,000 cabinet, change the thermostat so it does 16. I'm in the Italian ice business. But the Inkbird, to put it simply, since we're not too far away from the holidays, this is like putting lights up on your front porch at Christmas time. My goal is to get a cheap Home Depot cabinet that goes to 10 below, 15 below. I want to get it up to plus 16. When I plug that thing in, it's at 70 degrees and boom, it's heading for 16, 10 below 0, and there's nothing I can do about it. With the Inkbird, you put up your Christmas lights, and then you plug them in. You don't just plug them into the wall and let them run 24 hours a day. You plug them into a timer, and then you plug the timer into the wall, and you set it, okay, I want the Christmas lights to go on at sunset, come on at sunset, light up my front porch, and then turn off at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And that's what the timer does. And you walk away from it, it does it all the time. The Inkbird is like that. We're going to take any old cheap cabinet that's going to 10 below, and we're going to plug it into the Inkbird right here. And the Inkbird has this thermostat, just a bulb thermostat they call it. I'm going to drop that into the box. And then I'm going to plug the Inkbird. Remember, my cabinet's plugged into here. This is going to plug into the wall. Again, just like the Christmas lights. So the cabinet is at 75 degrees. I want it to get to 17. Well, it's going from 75 heading down to 10 below 0. This is in the cabinet, and as the temperature drops, it gets to 50, 40, 30. It hits 16 degrees, and the Inkbird just turns off the power, just like Christmas lights. Turns them off. And then it senses that it's now warmed up from 16 to 17, and it turns the power back on. And that's all it does, turn the power, turn it off. $34 instead of $3,000 for a fancy cabinet. You're in the ISIS business. Just that simple. So my little idea of buying the $900 cart at Home Depot, getting a chest freezer, getting an Inkbird, an umbrella, and a little Honda generator, because they're the quietest, to run the cabinet. You're in the ISIS business. Go out there and go to a show. Go to a festival.
That's called an Inkbird, I-N-K?
I-N-K, and then separate word, B-I-R-D. If you want to get really fancy, this is model ITC308. They make fancier ones because this is designed for making beer. Don't buy the fancier ones, they just get more complex. I'm still trying to get the light to stop blinking on my VCR. So I don't need complex. I don't put complex on my machines. I don't need it. I don't need it in my Inkbird. It's really great. It's that simple. Don't tell them lies over there.
No, I don't think this is done. Can we pop it open and see what we got?
Please.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's done yet.
Oh. Well, you're the expert.
Might want to wait till the last room.
Stick your finger in it.
It looks like it's solidified.
Here, take a spoon.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you got it.
Really?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so should we do it? Let's open it up and see what we got.
Yeah, let's eat it.
I've never done this.
Okay.
Okay, what do we do after we take it out?
We make another flavor. Oh, you mean you serve it?
I like Steve's answer.
Okay,
We want to
so-
keep this class going. We want to keep this class going.
So what happens now?
You
You have to keep opening it.
He's telling you how to do this stuff, and he's never done it.
And then this comes out, but it's sticking a little because of the ice cream.
Give me a spatula.
Yeah, run it around it.
No, I was thinking on the bottom. No,
If you do it like this around the edges, it's because the ice cream's sticking on that side.
let's get.
Yeah. Yeah, there you
Ooh.
go. Pop up.
It's like watching
Whoa.
engineers design something.
Whoa!
Here's making
Look at that. Beautiful.
If I cut this, will you have some?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't think we have plates.
But little enough
It's exciting.
Is there anywhere I can look for plates?
We have bowls. We have plates that we have in sandwiches.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bowls?
These. Oh,
Uh,
we have nothing, Jeff.
No, we can, all right, we'll give you little portions and cups. How's that? You got a little square of ice cream. You're going to have to fill these. We can't take that whole thing.
No, forget that.
You're not going to let them have it?
I don't know, but not in that.
We don't have anything else. This is your last flavor today. Yes.
All right. So I have on there, you'll see it's passed around. I think I said 4 ounces of mint extract, but I think I'm going to stick at 2 or less. Reason is when I was breaking up these mint Oreos, they are really minty. So I don't want to recreate Steve's mint Italian ice mint chip. That was awful. So we have 4 packs of Oreos. I'm just going to do 1.5 packs that we're going to just have broke up in little pieces that we're going to do upon extraction. So it has really nice, pretty chunks. So the machine does a great job of breaking down Oreos. So traditional competitors, when you see their ice cream and it's called cookies and cream, it's white with Oreo cookies tossed in it. That's because they can't do what we can. So every single molecule of that ice cream is going to absorb this cookie. So it's going to come out a little gray looking, and in this case, not really sure, probably green. Green gray? I don't know. Is that a thing? We will find out. Some customers even call it, try the gray stuff. It's delicious, like Beauty and the Beast, because it comes out gray. Yes.
Whatever, you put the whole cookie in.
That's what we're going to do.
No, instead of breaking it up like that.
We do.
No,
I am.
we're going to put whole cookies in
Yes.
the machine. The machine's going to break them up.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
This
This
is to toss in upon extraction. Yeah. That's okay. So I like to have them in little bitty pieces. So that's good. So we're going to do a full batch of this. And we're putting everything mint we can think of in it with some marshmallows. So I picked these itty bitty like hot cocoa marshmallows because the mini marshmallows, they're still too big to me. And I also learned that marshmallows dissolve in the machine. So if you want to put marshmallows in, you can. It might give you the flavor. I kind of couldn't taste it. But there was no marshmallows. It completely disintegrated them. So we're also going to toss these in by hand. But I'll do that later. Okay. We're going to put in a full bladder, which is 10 quarts, so I have 6 here. Do we have a very brave volunteer that would like to try to pour this in? None? Come on, Kennedy. You want to do cookies, Kennedy? You want to do mix and you want to do cookies? All right, come on.
You better put on your apron.
Get your apron on.
Now it's official.
Yeah, you get to keep it now.
So this is only 6 quarts, so we still have to do 4 more quarts after this. So rule number 1, make sure you have it closed.
Oh boy.
Are you right-handed or left-handed? Okay. So that's your right-handed. You're going to hold it like so, okay? And then you're going to, your pour's here, so you're going to start off high, okay?
Okay.
No, it's not printed. Those who paid attention got it.
Don't put it on the machine. Don't have to be that high, but. Look at that. All right.
Beautiful.
See? It's not as hard as everybody thought, right?
You can adjust this to any size machine you have. But for the 24, 10 ounces vanilla, 36 ounces.
And then we're going to add 4 more quarts. So you want to pour it?
This is already measured or?
No, yeah, pour it in there to measure it out. Might be all of it, don't know.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. Okay.
English toffee. Or if you have my bigger kid, it's called caramel crunch.
Kennedy, you want to come wash your hands? That way you can put the Oreos in. All right, well, good job.
Oh, thank you. That just makes sense.
So that just goes to show that it's really not that hard. We make it look like we're pros, but anybody can do it. Okay, so for this, we're gonna start the machine and get her going without turning on the refrigeration, okay? You're gonna put them in whole just like that. I'll stand on this side of you. So we are going to touch the screen, make ice cream, homemade, and start. And when you drop the cookies in, just drop them in like that. We're gonna put in 2 whole packs. Thank you. It always sloshes out. We'll do 2 packs and take a peek. Huh? You mean as far as putting them in? Yep, you can go as fast or slow as you want. We might do all 4 of these, I don't know. So you guys will probably have to adjust the formula on your paper there. If you get a cookie stuck, here's this. That's the best part and so much fun. So since we're running a full batch, we're going to go ahead and put in these mint chips with it. It'll do a pretty good job of staying suspended because they're not super tiny. These, like I said, we're going to toss in by hand. I'm going to give this a taste and kind of eyeball on this. A lot of Oreos. See, it takes a pro to do this, guys.
Any other machine on the market, you wouldn't even get 1 cookie in. Not one. Because their openings are too small. They want it that way because their beaters, or dasher as we call it, are so lightweight that they're afraid that it'll bend the dasher. So they're not changing their designs in 40 years, which are copies of ours. But you can only do this with this. So we get a much more, I call it fruit flavor and fruit identity, even though it's cookies. The fruit flavor, you take the cookies, the strawberries, you pour them into the machine. For every particle of dairy, there's a particle of strawberry right next to it, or a particle of Oreo cookie. You're blindfolded and you taste it. You say, yep, that's Oreo cookie ice cream. You take off the blindfold and you go, oh, where's the beef? Where are the cookies? So that's why Christy broke them up, and as it comes out, she's going to shake them in for the visibility of it, because we eat with our eyes, and also the crunch that you're going to get as you eat the ice cream. So we have, this is when I put Haagen-Dazs in business in '72 and Ben & Jerry in '74, they were using batch freezers, and this is the way they made their ice cream. They got to over 250,000 gallons a year and had to go to a $1 million machine called a continuous freezer, which is a long tube. It can only deposit vanilla. And then it has a $40,000 machine attached to it that injects cookies or strawberries. So their ice cream nowadays is, if you look at it, is always going to be vanilla ice cream with pieces of flavor in it. We are particle for particle or molecule for molecule in flavor. So when you taste ours, it'll be much more intense than anything else on the market.
Okay.
That's what makes it completely different.
Okay, so our ice cream maker over here said to let's leave it at, this is 2 ounces, so we'll say 1 ounce. So you can mark on there that we did 1 ounce. You want to put these in here? So you're going to turn this on, because we can go ahead and start freezing it. You want to push that? And then dump that bag in there. You might have to use that to kind of put it in.
How do bananas hold up in ice cream? Fine.
Yeah, it'll grind them all up completely. You'll never see a piece.
They don't change color once they're frozen?
No, because they're all ground up into very small particles. But the flavor is there. Yeah.
So if you wanted chunks of banana, you'd probably put it in like you're gonna do the Oreos as it comes out, just kind of sprinkle them in there.
You know, I haven't done it. I've never made it that way. they won't turn brown because they're cold, but I don't know the moisture content of whether or not they'll be icy. If you shook in blueberries as it was coming out, they'd be little marbles. I found that out the hard way. Remember the Sharknado movies? Sharknado movies were all everywhere, you know, and I had a shark up there and the whole works. And I decided I'm going to make Sharknado Italian ice. So it's going to be blood red, which came from making cherry Italian ice. But then I needed the teeth. So it was Halloween, and everybody was selling Halloween candy. So I looked at candy corn, and if you turn a candy corn upside down, it looks like a little shark tooth, you know, thousands of acres of shark tooth. So I took that wonderful candy corn and dumped it in the machine, and we made Sharknado Italian ice. We all tasted it. It was fantastic. 2 weeks later, the lawsuits start coming in. My client broke a double crown because the candy corn turned into rocks, the hardness of marble when you froze the Italian ice. So you won't find that up on our website. I had to take that one down. But who knew? So I don't know what a banana would be like. It probably has enough sugar in it that it wouldn't harden up, but I'll have to try it sometime. I like bananas.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Since we ran this at a full batch, we're going to extract this into these tubs like you would at your own ice cream store. So it'll be two full ones of these, and it might be a little bit more than that. So what Kennedy and I are going to do is we're going to slow down the machine when it comes time for extraction, and then we're going to slowly fill these containers up and hand toss in some of those cookies and the mini marshmallows. These are 2.5. So you could do 2.5 or 3 gallons. Most people do 2.5 gallons because your bladders come in 10 quarts. That's 2.5 gallons, doubled in size is 5 gallons. 5 gallons is this. So whenever you have your finished product, it's going to come out to fill up to exactly of these. If you do choose to do a 3-gallon tub, that's totally fine too. You're just going to have some head space at the top of your containers, which is great if you want to do toppings on it or something like that, or you can put a piece of parchment paper on it and put the lid on it. But no, there's no right or wrong. It's a preference.
2.5 gallon tubs and 3-gallon tubs are the same height and the same diameter, except the 2.5 gallon tapers, whereas the 3-gallon doesn't. Ice cream was always in 2.5 gallons since the day my grandfather invented the mechanized ice cream machine 122 years ago. When commercial ice cream came along, Seal Test, Breyers, they switched to 3-gallon ice cream because their salesman wanted to go in and say, hey, you're buying 2.5 gallons from Thompson's Old Fashioned Ice Cream. We, Seal Test, are going to give you 3 gallons for the same price. So for that extra, and they said, we're going to get that many more scoops, you're going to make this much more money, all about sales. But that's all it is. A 3-gallon is straight up and down, a 2.5 has a slight taper. But the machines make a maximum of 24 quarts.
No.
If you're doing ice cream, like Christy said, the bags are 2.5, so you're going to get 20 quarts out. It would not be practical to add another 2 quarts of mix and change all your formulas. So that's the way people run that. If you're doing Italian ice, your product comes from the sink and from the sugar, and you can make it any measurements you want, so people use often 3-gallon tubs for Italian ice. There's a question. Yeah. Yes, I assume popsicles are pretty easy. I'm looking to see real quick if I have a mold. Yes. Popsicle making machines are in the $20,000, $30,000 range. They're made in Mexico. Emery Mark, who stole the first half of our name, Emery Thompson, they stole that, and that's them. But they make a popsicle machine for about $30,000. We do it by buying these rubber molds, and you can fill them at the machine, and they have a little slit in them for the stick. Put the stick in, and then take that and freeze it in the freezer, and then just pop them out. Ice cream except in the Hispanic community, where popsicles, paletas are very popular and they do beautiful exotic fruits and all. It was a fad about 7 years ago, and it lasted about a year and a half, and it disappeared. People were spending way too much money on display cabinets for popsicles, but someone said, "You're going to charge me $5 for a popsicle?" You know, my kids eat, 3 popsicles a day. It's not practical. And they were delicious, but people didn't see the value in it, except in one community.
How would you wrap that? After you somehow wrap it, right?
You can buy, if you pop them out of the molds, then you can buy a wrap that you can put them in. I've just not pursued it that far. But these are inexpensive, and that's how you do it, is you freeze them at a time and then just pop them out. Sure beats $30,000 for a machine that's a fad. So be careful. But sometimes we think this is going to be great, and we spend all this money, and then it just doesn't fly. So you're never wrong copying what everybody else is doing.
I was just curious to see if anybody will use these same flavors. I guess you put them on a popsicle.
You certainly can. Yeah. Excuse me?
Jeff?
No. This is called Cold, C-O-L-D, molds. Coldmolds.com. So it's a way to do it. I would much rather than sell a $5 popsicle, I'd rather sell an $11 pint of ice cream. Way more profit in it. And the customer likes it better because they're going to get at least 2 evenings out of a pint. Husband and wife sharing it. If they're lucky, they'll get, and don't sell half gallons or gallons because we want them to have to come back and buy 2 more. It's price insensitive. I don't care what that pint costs. It's what I want. I want your ice cream. It's great, and I want more than a cone.
So we're going to do a cutoff check, or Kennedy's going to do one. So it's going to come out a lot faster than you think it is. So when we say open close, that means open close. Okay? So you want to give it a yep? Nope. Just we're going to check and see with the consistency. A little more. A little more. There you go. All right. Very good. Yeah, it comes out a lot faster than you think. So it's still a little too runny for us. You can kind of see here. We want it to be a little bit more thicker than that, so we'll let it go for probably a couple more minutes. We put in the Oreos, that's a lot of sugar. We put in the fudge mint chips, that's sugar. We put in the mint extract, that's alcohol. So there's a lot of freezing points we need to hit. Yes?
If you were to put in the Oreos much later, would it not make that gray mess?
No, it's still gonna kind of make it gray. It's not a gray mess. I mean, some people think it's chocolate and it's not. But that's what makes your cookies and cream. And the fat from the Oreos and that filling mixes in with your mix. So even at 10%, it is really, really, really dense and creamy. He's a sucker for mint chip. That's his favorite.
I can't believe you said that. I just cannot. You got to take her apron back. Here, try the mess.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
And open a store, your life will change.
Yes, it is. Mess.
This is Kennedy's ice cream, so he made this.
It's very good though.
It's minty enough?
It's very subtle, and personally for me, I don't like mint, and that's good. It's not too much.
Very good. Good job. Good job.
Or not care for it, but that's perfect for me, because I don't like it super strong.
You should have had his mint chip Italian ice. That was fantastic.
It was mathematically wrong, and Christy took one taste of it, goes like this and says, "Well, I won't need mouthwash for another 2 months." We didn't serve it to everybody. We let it go.
Almost 2 minutes.
You don't learn unless you experiment.
So we're going to go almost another 2 minutes. You can kind of see it started to peak more into the tub. Can you hear that slightly? Okay, so that you guys can't hear it yet, but when you start working with your machine, when you know that your product's been in a little too long, or it's going to be in there too long, is you can start to hear the blades starting to hit the buildup on the cylinder, which is kind of what you're going to start to faintly hear now. So I'm going to go ahead and, or Kennedy's going to go ahead and shut this off. So you want to shut that off?
Hear the rumbling?
Yeah.
So now you're going to turn this down. We're going to slow our way down. Keep going. Keep going. That's good. Right about there. So, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to keep this slow open slightly, but you got to work with me because I can't go faster than me, okay? And then just kind of spread it with the spatula. Close it. Close it. Too fast. Oops. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, bring in the dogs. Bring in the
And then
dogs.
spread
It's
it
chocolate.
over. Yep. Just cover it up. Very good. Let's sprinkle some of that. That's good. I'm going to call it good. Very good.
See how well that works? You take a little bit out and then throw them in. Take a little more out, throw it in, and you're done in a minute.
Okay. Of course, people who do this every day are a lot faster.
Yeah.
And then you can probably pull this out and we'll swap it with the other tub. Ready? What? It was close. Set it over there. All right, let's work on this next one. Ready?
I got it. Uh-oh. What about these?
I got them in here.
Oh, okay.
This would make a great Halloween flavor too. And actually, that's what it was supposed to be for, but we had a hurricane, so we had to cancel the seminar. You can, but they're in the machine with the mix. Kennedy said it was too much, so.
You only use half.
Say that again? Yes, we only used half. But it's your ice cream. You can dump it all. You can add. I'm ready. Oh, sorry. Just yell at me. Yeah, keep going. So there's a customer in California who has like made this homemade wheelbarrow almost underneath the 40 quart, that guy, which pumps 4 of these tubs out, sorry. And that's all they do is they have someone there with this humongous spatula, and then the ice cream just flows out, and with their mix-in, they sit there with that spatula and toss it all up. Is there another container? Yeah, let's get another container. So it filled up 2 of these, and we're still going, aren't we? Okay. You could probably just leave the gate open now. Steve, did you want to help take over with him while I scoop everybody? Just, you can leave it open now, probably. All right. Let me wash my hands. That one's got the
You
ice
want to
cream,
tap
right?
the up arrow over here to bring the speed up to full?
Bring it up.
Yeah, just keep tapping it. Every time you tap it, it's going to go up. That way we can push the rest of the ice cream out. Anybody here from Wisconsin? Do you eat Swedish fish ice cream? Okay. Swedish fish is a big, I was just thinking about Kennedy, that there are different flavors that are unique to different regions. Swedish fish is one of them. Grape nuts. Everybody remember grape nuts? Not the flakes, the real ones. In Boston, they love grape nuts ice cream. That's about all we got. Let's tap it up the rest of the way. It's up to 234? Okay. So we'll shut her down and close it off.
All right. You did a
Great
great job,
job.
Kennedy. Oh, someone should have got a photo of you up here. I'll have to email you your video. How about that?
Okay, last chance for questions. and then we're going to take a tour of the factory, and then we're going to throw you out. So any questions, anything at all? Is anybody in the process of doing a store?
Yeah, opening in May.
You run into any health department questions yet?
No, so far they've been very helpful and receptive, actually. So.
Wow, health department and helpful, that's pretty shocking.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a nightmare, but
Has anybody mentioned anything about a grease trap?
unfortunately, I tried to get out of it, but no.
Okay. Let me just use grease trap as an example. Health departments, if one does it around the country, another one goes after it. They tend to run in fads, where all of a sudden they start demanding strange things. Like this floor would be a dairy tile floor, pretty expensive. There's a nice solution to this, is if you've got a concrete floor, the inspector says, I want a dairy tile floor. What's he really saying? What's she really saying? I want a floor that is absolutely washable and not porous. Okay, so you write down, you start a diary when you talk to the health department. And I call the inspector Phil. I mean, I've been using Phil for 20 years, whoever Phil is. And Phil says, I want a dairy tile floor, sanitary walls, and a grease trap. The dairy tile floor, okay, he says that. You call up Christy or me and say, well, Phil wants this, $10 gazillion floor. What do I do? Is it concrete? Sure. Okay. Go back and ask Phil if you can do at Home Depot, they sell a Rust-Oleum 2-stage epoxy floor sealer. People in Florida my age, for God knows what reason, paint their garage floors bright red or bright green, and then they sit out there at night with a TV. They move the cars out and they just sit out there. It makes no sense at all. They got a beautiful air-conditioned home and they're sitting out there. Anyway, I hope never to be there. But that's $87. So you can seal your floor with this 2-stage epoxy. You roll on the color coat, you roll on the sealer, and you say to Phil, can I do that? Sure, if you want, fine. That way, when Phil's boss comes, the chief inspector, and says, what's with that floor? Oh, Phil approved that on January 20th. Well, I taught Phil how to do his job, so I'm not going to go against him. The latest one is the grease trap. Grease trap is, and being from the Bronx, I'm going to argue everything. So I say, what on earth do I need a grease trap for when if all my grease is dairy? If I'm putting any dairy down the drain, I'm losing money. There's nothing going down there but a cup of ice cream a day, I tell them. They go, we don't care, we want a grease trap. Their idea of a grease trap is McDonald's. A 55-gallon drum of grease going down once a week into their sewer system. So they want a $30,000 grease trap. And that's what I thought. What I realized later was they don't care what size it is. They just want to check a box on the list. Okay, washable floor, check. Grease trap, $235 at Home Depot. Maybe $350 at Home Depot, not $30,000. So, and you get your plumber to put it in under the sink. Oh, grease trap, okay, check. That's all it is. So it's up to you. I mean, my father's attitude, back in the 70s and 80s in the Bronx was, if the inspector was a problem, give him $20. If he refused to take it, you gave him $40. If he refused to take it, he met the dumpster. It was just that simple. I go, Dad, this is the 90s. You can't be throwing people in dumpsters anymore. And he said, all right, give him whatever money he wants. We can't even do that anymore. So the way around it is you can call us, and if we have heard from other people a solution to a problem you're facing, we'll be happy to tell you. So keep it in mind. We don't do just ice cream. We can consult for free on all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, one of the
You won't
things.
get rid of them?
Huh?
You won't get rid of them?
I'm not saying. I know a guy, but I'm not saying.
So how'd Kennedy do?
Very good, Kennedy.
All right, good
All right.
job. So Kendall here, oh, you do a better job of announcing that than I do.
Okay, so Kendall here. What do I say after that? She has these wonderful certificates that she handmade herself. They're very attractive to give out to all of you. I'm proud to say, as president of the company, and Christy Brown as vice president of sales and marketing, you passed. So.